rolled right over the small of her back. Big mistake. The slut took that as a signal to grind right into me, pushing her pussy against my jeans, nothing between her slick little slit except a pair of lacy black panties with Grizzlies MC stamped in red on the ass. I knew those panties well. I'd ripped them off and pushed them in her mouth while we'd fucked a dozen times before. Her tongue was darting in and out of my lips, urging me to tongue fuck her back when I finally opened my drunken eyes. The door was still open. Somebody was standing out there watching us, and my vision narrowed on her standing there, mouth hanging open and eyes wide in shock. Missy looked like she'd seen a fucking ghost. Her fist wrapped around the broom so tight her knuckles were like ivory. The raging bull in my pants collapsed and started to go soft. I tore my mouth away from Twinkies and gave her a rough push. Bitch had a powerful hold with her fingernails. She spun around and was still hanging on me when I was halfway into the hall, her bare legs sliding seductively on mine. Enough. I bucked my hips hard, shoving her to the wall. I'd never hurt a woman, but I wanted her the fuck off me. I used one hand to steady her, making sure she wasn't going to fall, and then ripped myself away. "Baby, what the fuck?" Her face wrinkled up in confusion and disappointment. "I can't do this shit tonight. Find somebody else to suck and ride." "This is fucking insane. She's not even your old lady. Not really. God damn it, Brass, you're really going to say no for some bitch who won't even get you laid?" Fuck. Even the slut knew it. I almost turned around and marched back over to her, making her say that shit to my face. But I had to go after Missy, who'd bolted toward the bar like a startled cat. It was tough going through the club. Too many bodies packed into too small a space. Brothers, bottles, and girls everywhere, standing or else lying on the floor, too fucking easy to stumble on. A bottle caught me right as I saw her through two big Sacramento dudes gabbing away. I slipped and fell on my fucking ass. My body spun, the whiskey slowing my reflexes, hit my head on a chair's leg and slumped. Missy. God damn it. I tried to call to her, but my lips wouldn't work. The whole world was just spinning, collapsing in on itself. My vision darkened just as I started to feel the wicked bump by my temple. My head rolled, and I saw the Prez sitting on the old sofa, two sluts on his lap, his hands pinching their thighs so hard they looked like they were in pain. Fang looked right at me and smiled, showing the broken, oversized canine in his mouth. He'd supposedly used it to bite a few men to death in the old days. Same fucked-up snaggletooth that gave him his road name. Shit, why did he look so fucking evil? His eyes were always dark with anger, and stress pulled his face tight. But he never looked like this. He looked like Satan himself, high and pompous on his throne somewhere in hell. He lifted a hand. The dim light overhead reflected off the blade in his hand. He pressed it dangerously close to one girl's thigh, sliding higher between her legs, ready to sever a critical vein or shoot up and split her in two if he chose. Fuck. That's when I knew I was losing my mind. I was fucking hallucinating. Had to be. Too much jack and grief on an empty stomach could really twist a man's brain to knots. I blacked out on the floor right next to two more girls thrashing with pleasure on the ground, drooling the same way I used to when I felt the heroine's coarse purr surging through my veins. Somebody was crying. I rolled, threw my hands on the ground, and tried to stand up. The liquor in my veins became a half-faded hangover. The weird, near silence in the bar told me I must have lost a couple hours. Brothers were long gone with their girls, or else in an even deeper coma than I'd been in a second ago. I looked at the sofa. The Prez was gone, if he'd ever been there at all, with those poor, scared bitches. "Let me go! I'm just here to work! I'm not a whore!" I turned toward the high, feminine distress. "Heh, could have fooled me with that fucking mouth, begging to be tamed. He hasn't done shit, has he, girl?" The rough voice paused. "Nobody's buying Brass's bullshit, least of all me. I've seen through that asshole from the very beginning. Fang fucked up, failing to burn his junky ass back in Montana, and now he thinks he's gonna get one over on his brothers, claiming your pussy's his when it really isn't? Shut the fuck up, beautiful, and enjoy yourself. You're nobody's old lady, and that means it's open season on your sweet-looking ass." "Let go! Not till you give it up on top of this bar, baby girl. I'm gonna rip you right open, show you what a real man wearing these fucking colors can do. You owe me anyway for not pulling the trigger on your little girl. No! No!" My screwed-up brain finally got its shit together. I recognized those voices. Missy. Serial. Fuck! I shot up, ignoring the savage vertigo twisting my brain upside down. Couldn't see anything except pure blood red when I saw him backing my girl against the wall, trying to pull her toward the messy bar top, one of his evil hands pinching her thigh. I charged him from the side and knocked his ass flat on the ground. Missy screamed. I fell on top of him, hoping like hell I could aim my fist at his face, knock him out before he knew what hit him. I got in 2 good punches before I felt him moving beneath me, one hand in his pocket. Motherfucker pulled his switchblade and hurled it at my guts. I barely swerved again, deaf as another one of Missy's screams ripped through my ears. I caught a blur, just her circling around us, shaking and holding an empty beer bottle like a club. Serial tried to stab my ass again. Too fucking slow. Adrenaline howled through me, and I caught his wrist with both hands, forcing the bundle to his throat. It was all down to arm wrestling now, and I wanted to push that knife through his jugular so fucking bad. "Rothers, no! Get the fuck up, both you assholes!" 2 hands caught my shoulders and shook. I kicked like mad as they tried to pull me to my feet, throwing my head down one more time. I slapped Serial's forehead so hard with mine the sickening slap echoed in my skull, followed by the dull pain. More hands landed on me. Dark shapes moved all around us, cutting me off from Missy, taking me away from my target. I wouldn't stop flipping my shit till Blackjack and Rabbit had me pressed to the wall, holding me down with everything they had. "Let me fucking go! That asshole tried to rape my old lady. I'm gonna put his ass in the ground!" "You've lost your mind, son!" Blackjack roared in my face. "If you think you're gonna deal justice without running it by your brothers, we'll take you out to meet the mauler right now! Stop it!" Rabbit's eyes met mine. "Come on, man. I don't want to fucking hurt you," they said. "Calm the fuck down." Damn it. I started to relax, but I didn't stop kicking till I saw Missy behind all the brothers staggering around us. The men were either laughing or giving me the evil eye. She was safe. For now. I tried to relax, much as I wanted to break their hold and continue beating the fuckface on the floor. He tried to take her, against her fucking will. He tried to take what's mine. "I'll leave his ass alone. Just let me fucking go," I growled, forcing myself to break eye contact with Serial. His lip was bloodied and a couple brothers helped him up. He shot me one more vicious look with those dark, merciless eyes. The urge to rip him out of his head and blind his evil ass forever was overwhelming. "Jesus!" Blackjack spat contempt in my face. "I can smell the whiskey rolling off you. Drunk as a damned skunk. I'm gonna let this ride, long as I don't find out you hit that other shit." I shook my head. "You know I wouldn't do that. I'd rather die, brother." "Nobody's fucking dying here today," he snapped. "In another couple seconds, I'm gonna let you go. Rabbit's gonna walk you out to the garages with the girl, and you're heading straight home. Got it? Don't show your fucking face around here again until you sober up and know how to handle everybody in this club, including the brothers you don't like." I snorted. Blackjack's fingers tightened on my shoulders and he cocked his head, studying me, a stark warning written in his weathered face. "Really, Brass? You know this kind of shit happens in this club all the time. Brothers get drunk, some of them let their girls stray, and that baby-faced brunette back there isn't even yours. Nobody believes this stage show you're putting on. It's gonna be a long time before we ever turn 'em loose. I'll tell you that much. You don't trust this bitch as far as you can throw her. How do you expect us to?" My heart sank. Fuck. Saving Missy in the scuffle just brought another consequence that activated pure fire in my chest. My heart slapped my ribs like a heavy pendulum, ready to kill and crush. He eased up. My cue to turn, rip myself away from him. Rabbit still had me by one arm. Annoying as fuck. "I'll go," I said, giving Blackjack one more icy stare. "I'll get my shit together like you want. But you know, it's a sad fucking day around here when you're admitting defeat and letting rapist lunatics fuck this club over from the inside out. Big surprise we're easy pickings for the cartel. We're rotten to the goddamned core." Blackjack's mouth twisted in a frown. He was about to lay into me, but my parting shot to Serial set the maniac off. He threw himself at me, too slow for the brothers surrounding me. "Knock it off, asshole! I'm not gonna tell you again!" Blackjack howled, getting in his face as the brothers held him back, trying to bring some permanent peace for the night. Rabbit kept his grip tight while I circled around and grabbed Missy with my free hand. She followed along limply, matching my steps with Rabbit toward the door. It was a huge relief when the stink of grease and motor oil outside coiled up my nostrils. I headed for the truck. When we were a few steps away, I let Missy's hand go and reached into my pocket, handing her the keys. "You drive. I'm too fucked up to get us home." She blinked and then nodded. I hated looking into her eyes too long, not when they were all red and shocked to hell after Serial worked his black magic. At the passenger door, Rabbit still hadn't let me go, so I jerked hard. He flew forward, knocked himself into the truck's metal before he released my leather. "Shit, dude, take it easy. I'm following orders." "I know. I just want to get the fuck out of here." I put my hand on the door handle and felt my knuckles throb where I'd pounded Serial's face. It hurt like hell, but damn if it didn't feel good, too. Just wished my fists had gotten a chance to finish the job before these other fucks broke it up. "Hey!" Rabbit threw his hand over mine on the door, causing me to growl. "I'm hoping you can figure this shit out, brother. You know I would have been right with you kicking Serial's ass if everybody knew she was your old lady. I mean, if that's what she really was and you weren't just doing this for show." "Yeah? Well, thanks for your support." I stopped just short of adding, "asshole." There was no point in alienating the last man here who really had my back, even if he half-assed it. "Brass, you know it's not like that," he said, stepping away. "I'm trying to put the club first, same as blackjack. You and these girls. It's one more fucked-up complication. I want them gone just as quick as you do, but not if there's a tiny chance they're gonna fuck us by blabbing to the police. And I'll tell you the same thing I told Blackjack." I paused, pressing my teeth together tight. "This club's fucked up, rotting from the inside out, infested with junkies and psycho assholes like Serial. Ask yourself how fucked up it is that you care more about keeping shit together to fight the cartel when we've got guys who are supposed to be our fucking brothers acting just like a bunch of thugs from below the border." His face tightened in anger, but it faded fast. My eyes were fixed on him the whole time as I climbed into the truck and Missy started the engine, slowly putting some distance between us and the hellish scene. Fuck it. Everybody who still had a soul in this club needed to hear the bitter truth, and I hoped I'd lodged it so deep in Rabbit's brain tonight he wouldn't be able to go back to his carefree fucking. Finally, I looked at her, reaching up over her head to tap the button for the gate clipped to the visor. It opened up and then we took off. I mouthed a few directions to give her some idea. No blindfold this time, obviously. I was so tired of fighting, playing this fucking game with her in the club. It hadn't gone down like I wanted, but I was done. So goddamned finished. If the girl sitting in the driver's seat was gonna screw me over, then there wasn't shit I could do about it. I wasn't gonna drive myself nuts over her knowing where the clubhouse was or pissing off my brothers. If they came for her again, Serial or anybody else, I wouldn't hesitate to swing my fists till I couldn't anymore. I'd die fighting for something. Right now, protecting her was a hell of a lot more attractive than fighting for my own club, even if she never gave me a shred of thanks. She had a good reason for despising everything I'd done. The club was behind all this shit. Stress and siege weren't gonna cut it as excuses neither. Truth is, my band of brothers turned into a pack of wolves a long time ago. Fuck, they'd been like that since I showed up in Redding, and I was too fucked up to admit it. I couldn't see it till now, but when I finally did, it was blinding. They were gonna kill her. Serial was gonna force her, sure as he would have blown her little sis's head off in the basement that night. Whatever fucked up sins her daddy did for the cartel against my MC, they shouldn't have been paid for this way. My guts churned, rougher than any other time tonight. Raw, hot bile spasmed in my intestines, rage incarnate, vile as whiskey mixed with battery acid. I reached for her hand on the wheel, gently covering it. "Pull over, babe. Right fucking now."
5. Broken heartbeat. Missy. What a night. Listening to him in the ditch dry heaving was just the cherry on top of my crap sundae. I shook my head, wondering when he'd finally be done. I wondered even more why I didn't just take off, fleeing into the forest that flanked the little strip where we'd pulled over, and not stopping until I touched Mount Shasta looming in the distance. My brain was still trying to process the evening. Too many bombs exploded in my head too close together. I was cleaning, trying not to dwell on all the rough brutes all around me enjoying themselves. Then I had to stumble in on him with that blonde bitch's tongue down his throat. Jealousy shouldn't have thundered through my veins, and I definitely shouldn't have taken off running, crazed to get away from him while he pursued me. Of course it did, and no reason or wishing was going to make me feel any different. I didn't want to hear his crap, especially when he didn't owe me any apologies whatsoever. I couldn't want this man. He was a means to an end, a way to navigate this sector of hell and find my way out of the deep, deep pit Daddy dug for Jackie and I. I was hiding behind the bar, just waiting for him to come out of his stupor on the floor, when Serial attacked. He was so insistent, so fast, his eyes like a guard dog's before it lunges. I tried to fight. I wanted to believe I could get him off me, get to safety by myself, but the man who threw me against the counter and pressed his nasty hand between my legs was too strong. That was when I broke. I begged for Brass to wake up and help me, prayed for it. The problem with wishes and prayers is that sometimes you actually get what you want. He fought for me like nobody ever had. When they piled onto him and forced him off the creep, I thought he'd break out like a bull and keep going, even if it meant his own destruction. More than anything else, he'd put me above his own club, and after I'd treated him like total shit, too. Sure, I could try to ignore these raging uncertainties tearing through me. I'd tried to do that plenty when the liquid heat flowed through me every time I looked at him too long, studying the fierce dark ink scrawled on his hard skin. But I couldn't ignore the fact that he'd done me right. He'd truly protected me, and not just for his own selfish reasons. A man fighting for himself wouldn't fight like Brass did. He fought for me, and only me, putting himself against blades and blows without a care for himself. Didn't that count for something? I shook my head, unwilling to accept the obvious answer in my screwed-up brain. I was still staring at the ground when he rounded the truck, banging on its metal side with one fist.
I'm done. Let's hit the road.
Are you sure about that? I reached into the driver's side and grabbed the water he'd left behind, holding it out to him. Here, something to rinse away the taste. He popped the cap and chugged it. Stray water sprayed out the corners of his lips, rolling down his cut, saturating the t-shirt he had on underneath it. The droplets drew my eyes to his body, the muscles I owed a debt to that I tried so hard to forget. Jesus, he was strong. It was one thing just to see it on him, but to know what those fists could do? His knuckles were scratched, but his hands were still big, strong, and masculine, untouched, unbeaten. My thoughts went rampant, imagining what they'd feel like wrapped around my waist, or hooked around my back, sliding to my ass. That's it, Missy. This is when you've officially lost your mind. I couldn't argue with the voice in my head, but the daydreams on the other side wouldn't stop humming. I absent-mindedly ran my tongue over my lips, wondering how he'd taste. How would those powerful slabs of meat on his bones twitch and jerk if I put my tongue to them? My lips? My teeth? A cool breeze blew as he started to walk back to the passenger side and climbed in. It hit me right in the middle, near the waist, pushing against my jeans. I shuddered, realizing how wet these stupid, dangerous thoughts were making me. I shouldn't have been falling for the good cop. No matter how hard he fought and tried to protect me, I had to remember that's what he was in the end. He was one of them, part of my prison. He was the smooth side of my cage, holding me in rough uncertainty. And not just me, but Jackie too, the most unforgivable thing of all. If it were just me, I might have done something really stupid. I might have thrown my hand on his, pulled him close, and kissed him while I thanked him for what he'd done. But until my sister was free, I wasn't doing anything. These mad, mad fantasies couldn't run amok, couldn't make me do something that would only delay our freedom. I forced my hands to the wheel and drove when he gave the signal. We didn't talk much on the ride towards Reading proper. When we were nearing the city limits, he turned to me and stared. "What?" I said, flustered.
You did good tonight, babe. Shit would have gone off without a hitch if Serial hadn't let his drunken dick get the better of him. I'll do whatever it takes to keep that asshole away from you in the future. No bullshit.
It was okay up until then, I agreed. I'm just glad it turned out okay in the end. I mean, assuming those guys aren't going to come after you."
"They'll let it ride," he growled. "Club's got too much on its plate to worry about a little dirty blood between brothers. Long as I can keep it under control on my end and not plant a dagger in that fucker's guts while he's taking a piss."
My chest tightened. Was he serious? The savage look of satisfaction on his face reminded me once again who and what I was dealing with. These men really killed, and I remembered how close to sudden death they'd brought Jackie and I on the night they came for the money. Brass saved us then, too. I stopped and wondered, new darkness creeping into my head. If he wasn't there, you wouldn't be here to worry about it, I thought. It was truer than anything else rolling through my head all evening.
"Listen, that other shit earlier."
He bared his teeth. I knew he was talking about the blonde. Jealousy seethed in my blood, unwelcome as it was surprising. I waved my hand. "It's none of my business, Brass. It's your life. You're welcome to do whatever you want behind closed doors." Except this one was wide open, and of course I was lying right through my teeth. Thinking about him and the nasty girl with the golden pigtails made me want to claw things to shreds.
"No, you got more than your fill of all the shit the brothers do at these parties tonight. You didn't need to see it from me."
He swallowed.
"I didn't want it. She tried to stick her pussy where it didn't belong. I've fucked her before, but that shit was in the past. We're done. Something's changed. Thinking about that pussy anymore just makes me sick."
"You can do better. Seriously." I flushed as soon as the words were out of my mouth. Being rattled so many times in a couple hours killed the brain-to-mouth filter. Brass looked me up and down. Then he laughed, filling the truck with his deep baritone. I couldn't help but smile.
"I'm laughing because it's fucking true. Not just with chicks, I mean. Trying to do better's the story of my fucking life since I left Montana. Better's all I got."
He paused, as if considering his words.
"Thing I hate most about change is how it warps your vision. Some of the shit I see with a clear head, I'd strike down in a heartbeat if I really had a choice."
"The stuff going on with your club?" I asked. He nodded.
"Just when I think we've reached our limit, some new asshole has to make a ruckus, painting everything darker, more bitter. I don't know what's gonna come out of fucking around with the cartel, but I don't want any part of it. Not if it means my own brothers are gonna keep acting like fucking jackals."
My hands tightened on the wheel. He couldn't take his eyes off me, tracing my curves. That heat was back, shades of nervous excitement I couldn't quite define, let alone handle. He was so hard, so intense. No, handling him didn't come natural. But damn if I didn't want to try. This man might be the death of me, a fatal attraction I was destined to follow into the fire. Whether I'd meet heaven or hell there was anyone's guess, and for the first time since all this went down, I was ready to start taking bets.
You never should have been swept up in this shit. I don't care what your father did," he said. "We should have taken the money and let you go. If it wasn't so fucking hard convincing guys to do the right thing anymore, we wouldn't be stuck playing pretend. Fuck, babe. If there was a way I could have saved you and your sis without ever using the words old lady..."
He closed his eyes and didn't finish. I had to keep my eyes fixed on the road, refusing to look over. Hearing him regret claiming me as his hurt. It defied common sense, but it did, and it shook me to the core, too. I leaned in my seat and pushed on, following the narrow streets through Reading toward our apartment. There was nothing left to say. Breathing another word would have only upset somebody, and we'd had enough heartache for one night. I pulled into a parking space and got out, waiting for him to follow. The whole way upstairs and down the hall, I hoped like hell Jackie would be asleep. When I got inside, one more prayer was answered, and I was left alone to pad off to my room, alone with my fears and forbidden desires. I woke up sometime before dawn and ran to the bathroom. It was still dark. The water I'd downed before I went to sleep helped kill the hunger pangs nipping at my stomach. I was too upset to eat earlier, worried I'd wake up with my stomach twisted in knots as I slid through my nightmares. Brass was snoring lightly on the couch. a thin blanket thrown across him, his cut and jeans hanging on the chair next to him. I looked at the coffee table and saw his wallet. There was something else, too, thick and shiny, even in the pre-dawn darkness. I crept up, quiet as a cat, reaching out when I was close. It was the skinny switchblade he'd wrestled away from cereal. My thumb brushed the handle, running over the small bear claw pressed into the handle. One more cruel mark left by the Grizzlies' MC. My finger gently moved along the edge and pushed a small button. The sharp blade jumped out, dangerous as ever in the darkness. I looked up, studying him in the shadows. He was huge, and right now, completely at my mercy. The old, frightened, vengeful Missy Thomas inside me stomped her feet, begging me to end this right now. If I killed him here, nobody would ever know. Jackie and I could take off with his vehicle, find our way to Mexico or something. But the way he'd gotten underneath my skin... God. Killing him was the last thing I wanted. How could I spill his blood when he'd already given his for me? For Jackie? He'd sliced into my soul, sure, but he'd ripped his own open and bled 10 times more. I wanted to take the easy way. I wanted to be free. But I also wanted him, alive and well, and so much more. Primal greed grabbed me by the throat and forced me to look at him, a rugged, manly mirror for all my feverish desires. I wanted him on top of me, hot and throbbing, slamming me into the floor while he worked between my legs. I wanted to smell our sweat mingled when he was deep inside me, claiming me for real, shattering the game of pretend we'd been playing with insatiable lust and twitching flesh. Honestly, I'd already lost my mind. Now the only question was whether I'd walk into the madness, losing him, or else losing myself on his flesh, losing my entire world on him as he filled me, stretched me, clawed at my flesh, and split my mind in two on his dick. I couldn't kill him. No fucking way. This whole thing was crazy, and I didn't know if there even was a way out alive anymore, but more bloodshed wasn't the answer. I turned the knife over in my hand, holding it up. With a heavy sigh, I lowered it, trying to find some way to retract the blade. I never heard him wake up, much less climb off the sofa. He crashed into me from behind, flattening my hand holding the blade. I jerked once and flipped over, surprised I hadn't screamed. We were face to face. He was shirtless and magnificent, pure hellfire in his expression, dark tattoos running up and down his muscular chest. He'd landed between my legs, the last place in the world he should be, especially when I had nothing on underneath my long sleeping shirt, except my panties and filthy desires blazing in my belly.
"What the fuck are you doing?"
he growled, eyeing the blade in my hand. It was still tilted up, sturdy, his hand pinning down my wrist. I just saw it laying there and wanted to see what it was. I didn't mean to do anything, Brass. Honest. He stared deep into my eyes and shook his head. Finally, he threw his hand away, but not before pulling my wrist up, aiming the dagger at the tight-packed muscles on his abdomen.
"Bullshit. I know a person mulling a kill when I see one."
His breaths came heavy, and he spoke slow, soft.
"Fucking do it if this is what you want. Put me out of my goddamned misery and leave. Do it."
My hand shook against his. I tried to release my fingers, drop the knife, get away from him, but he wouldn't let me. He pulled it closer, dragging the very tip of the killer blade to his chest, right above his heart.
"One more fucking push and you're free. This is what you want, right, babe?"
"No." I wasn't sure how I managed to keep my voice down without screaming in his face. It came out sharp, hit him in the face. Brass's hand squeezed, bending my knuckles in, and then let go. The knife fell onto the carpet next to me. When I looked down to see it, I realized my whole body was shaking underneath him.
"Can't say I never gave you a chance, Missy,"
he said, peeling back and hovering over me, his hands planted on the floor.
"Wake me up when you know what you want."
The smug tension in his voice struck deep, setting off a bomb inside me. Next thing I knew, I jerked up, threw my arms around his neck, and smashed my mouth on his. Our lips touched like lightning crisscrossing the sky. Brass's mouth was hard, unmoving for a single second, and then he parted his lips and grunted. His arms slid around me, pulling me up, smashing my breasts against his chest as he pushed my lips apart with his tongue. God, he was hungry. I'd never been kissed like this. But then no other man had kissed me after holding a knife to his heart before, bearing everything, life and death and lust. Brass growled, lowering me to the floor, reaching up to my long brown hair. He tangled several strands in one fist and ripped my head back, all the better to access my lips, shoving his tongue deeper into my mouth. He licked the way I imagined he fucked. Rough, fast, and totally dominant. There was no playful tease in these kisses, no gentle build. His teeth nipped at my bottom lip, holding me open for his tongue. He found mine and led in a fiery dance, licking against my soft, wet tongue until I had to follow him, kissing him the way he wanted. No mistake. I wanted it hard. I wanted to kiss and feel and fuck. I was done thinking. It was the best alternative in the world to screaming and beating at his chest, crying like a broken fool on the floor. He saved me from all that. He saved me. Again. All my blazing emotions shot to my heart, where they were ejected as pure lust, a powerful need to feel him all over me. For once, Brass and I were on the same wavelength, too. Our flesh sang in unison, tense and ready. After a couple minutes on my lips, his free hand moved, starting at my knee and sliding straight up. His calloused hand kissed my thigh, on its way to the soaked black lace between my legs. He growled through his kiss, as he shoved my gusset aside and rubbed 2 fingers up and down my slit, a short rhythmic test before he pushed them inside me. Fuck. Oh my God. I grunted in his mouth as he worked through my folds. My pussy wrapped around his fingers and shifted each time he went a little deeper. His strokes were soft at first, but quickly grew faster and harder, dipping in and out in long jerks, until his thumb pressed on my clit. I broke the kiss, begging for air, feeling my lungs and everything below the waist turning to stone. Brass yanked on my hair and held me up to him as I sucked precious air, face to face. Lust incarnate looked back at me. Pure desire formed from all the hate and want between us, finally set free.
Do I need to stuff my hand in your mouth when you come?
He pushed his face closer, dragging rough stubble across my cheek. My thighs rippled together, locked around his hand, bucking for relief. I realized he was talking about Jackie, asleep down the hall. Damn. No, I can't let her hear. I think I can keep it together. No fucking way. A voice deep in my head laughed. Oh. My lips formed a perfect circle and my vision blurred. I gasped, sweated, pinched my thighs tight around his palm. Jesus, I needed him to finish kindling the fire he'd ignited in my core. Brass's hand went mad, moving like clockwork through my folds, or maybe like a clockmaker who knew exactly how to wind my pussy up until I shattered. It felt so fucking good, but I couldn't scream. I'd never forgive myself if Jackie woke up and came in here to find us like this. I had to keep it down. I had to stop myself from... Brass made sure I'd be screaming in his hand and nowhere else. He moved it out of my hair and covered my mouth as his face moved down. He caught the edge of my shirt and tugged it up with his teeth, stopping the hypnotic circles between my legs just long enough to rip my panties down. When I realized the only place he was going was down, I started to pant. Rough stubble and hard, sucking kisses danced along my cleavage, then rode my stomach, drawing me against his mouth. His face pushed between my legs and took over where his hand left off. My body jerked against his, grinding into his hot hand. I thought his fingers were good, but his tongue... Christ! I was finished. Hot, long, godly licks steamed through my folds. He tongued my wetness eagerly, like my cream was the booze the men sucked constantly at the clubhouse, trailing his licks up to my clit. When he found it, my whole pussy sizzled on his face, ready to come apart. Muscles tensed up and convulsed. Small bundles across my body I didn't even know I had. He must have known I was about to burst, because he shoved the edge of his hand into my mouth, forcing me to bite him. I did, but it wasn't enough. I barely had time to beat my hands on his shoulders before the insistent, tight fireball in my womb exploded. My thighs locked around his head and I came, groaning against his palm, losing total control. My eyes rolled back, lost in black and white and red. I never came so hard, flailing against him as he held me down, never stopping the wild rhythmic tongue laps on my clit. He completely smothered it as I rode his face, my pussy convulsing around him like he was breathing lightning through my nerves with every insatiable lick. I came. I climaxed the pain and hurt of the last few weeks, the insanity of doing it with him, giving myself over to desires that were sick and taboo on a good day. Having him between my legs was so damned wrong, but my body told me it was right. There was no doubting it. The saner, rational bitch I became to keep myself safe would have jumped through the roof in horror, but pleasure didn't lie, and pleasure won out in the end, overpowering my regrets, my fears, my doubts. His tongue fucked me until I couldn't even breathe, buried beneath a couple 100 pounds of huge, hard, tattooed muscle. I barely had time to worry about whether or not his hand stifled the carnal pleas ripping up my throat. When I looked up, he was hovering over me, the 2 fingers he'd had inside me near his lips. The fire in his emerald eyes doubled when he stuck them in his mouth, giving them a good long suck before wiping his chin.
You taste even fucking better than I imagined. I'd give up whiskey for that sweet little cunt.
I laughed, slapping his shoulders again. Okay, now I knew he'd lost his mind. But Brass acted perfectly sane and determined. As he brought his hands to his boxers, my eyes followed, and I noticed the monstrous hard-on straining there, looking like it would punch through the thin fabric any second. Horny curiosity tingled through me. I swept one hand down below his belly, reaching for his dick. I found it and squeezed, hissing through my teeth. God, he was big, hard, ready to fuck me through the floor just like I wanted. Brass wrapped his hand over mine and gripped, making me squeeze him harder.
That's what you want, babe. Okay. I would have taken a switchblade in the guts for you, but I sure like satisfying this fucking need a whole lot more.
I pursed my lips, trying not to drool all over the floor. My pussy wouldn't stop melting as I felt his ridge, running my fingers over it, sensing his pulse in my fingertips. Do it. It was my turn to whisper those words. Brass didn't need any reminders. He hooked his fingers to his boxers and jerked them down. They fell with a snap and he rolled, wriggling out of them, grabbing his jeans off the chair. My heart did a flip when I saw the small metallic package in his hand. He looked at me, winked, and threw it at me.
You know how to do this, right? Put it on. I won't pass up any excuse to get your hands on my dick again.
I'd never rolled a condom on a man, but it wasn't like I was going to say no. I eyed the light coming through the blinds nervously, hoping Jackie stayed up late so she'd sleep in. Good thing teenagers were out like the dead most mornings. I quickly tore the foil, trying not to make too much noise. The latex popped softly in my fingers, and I moved it to him, gnawing my bottom lip when I brought it to his swollen head. Brass grunted, satisfied, watching with new flames in his eyes while I pushed it down his length. There was something extra sensual about that, almost as good as sinking down on his bare, hard cock. Almost. But of course, feeling him skin to skin would have been even better. For now, this would have to do. And when he shifted up, fisting my hair, planting himself between my legs, I knew it'd do very nicely. He kissed me deep, rubbing his length up and down my wet slit, nestling his cock in my folds. I squirmed, wishing he'd just fuck me already. Not that I wasn't enjoying the foreplay, but the fire inside me needed to be fed, needed to be filled.
Fuck, baby girl. You know I wanted this pussy the minute I saw you. This pussy. The one I was glad to claim, the one I wanted for real. Nobody else's. When I take this beautiful cunt, it's going on a long, hard ride, and it's never coming back. This is mine. Mine.
That word was like magic. Black, crazy, alien magic, making me tingle all over. The way he rubbed his erection up and down my slit while he whispered his filthy promises in my ear had a lot to do with its power, too. Brass rose up, tilting his hips, ready to sink inside me. I caught one glimpse of the raging bear tattooed on his chest, symbol of the Grizzlies' MC, right before he thrust. His cock penetrated deep, opening me, unstopping until his balls rested against my ass. I was so full, so fast I started to shake. There was no slowing down, though. Not when he wanted to fuck me this bad, claim me for real. Thrust by thrust, he told me what he wanted to do. Twist the crappy lie we'd lived into truth with flesh, sweat, and ecstasy. Was it possible? My body didn't say no. His strokes came harder, faster, making my body ripple. He fucked with purpose, taking as much pleasure as he gave. The big inked claws tattooed on his arms rippled around me, dancing like black flames. I threw my legs around his waist and locked onto his neck with my hands, all the better to ride out the storm, the tempest we both needed to thrash all the shit we'd suffered to pieces. I felt like I was floating after a minute of taking his dick, but it was just my own hips flying up, desperate to meet his thrusts. Everything below my waist turned warm and tight, smoky and electric. Soon I'd be coming again, harder than when he licked me to finish. As soon as I started to claw at his shoulders, he held one hand at my mouth. My eyes went wide, rolling a little as he pounded his hips to mine, pressing his cock to my limits.
Don't scream. Let it out of my fucking hand, babe. You sing like a whore with little sis in the other room, and we'll never be able to finish.
Suddenly he smiled, a mischievous glint in his eye.
Maybe I ought to finish this faster for both of us. Or do you want to fuck good and slow? Risk everything combusting on my dick?
I shuddered. Whatever way he fucked me, I was going to come soon, and I moaned into his hand. It was all he needed. His thrusts slowed, but his pressure increased. He slid back gradually before he threw his hips into mine, hammering me apart, breaking me open for him. My clit hummed when he dragged his pubic bone against me. Short, trim hair gave its delicious friction, maddening as it was pleasurable. I couldn't take it anymore. I smashed my lips straight into his hand and grunted, pushing warm air through my teeth. He threw the switch. Feeling me tighten up and convulse on his cock turned him into the fuck machine he'd promised. Brass filled my pussy again and again, quicker, shallower strokes, kindling a wicked fire beneath my waist. I let go, falling so fast and hard I could feel my brain coming out my ears. My hips smashed desperately at his, bucking and writhing, begging for his climax. Brass joined me halfway through the fire, licking its way up my whole body, drowning me in its glorious wave. He grunted, threw his hips forward, and held them there, cock pressed snug against my womb. I felt him swell, even through the condom, and then the heat in his skin became an inferno. His head snapped back and he clenched his teeth, snorting, struggling not to growl or curse so loud it shook the whole building. If the sex wasn't so amazing, it would have been a total pain holding in our pleasure. Instead, sheer ecstasy muted us, shuddering through our bodies harder in spastic waves, locked together as his cock jerked deep inside me. He spilled everything. I saw my sweet surrender mirrored in him, the venom leaving his body as he lost his cum in the condom, deep inside my pussy. It felt like we were locked together for an hour before he finally pulled out. His hand shook as he held the condom to his skin, a satisfied growl leaving his lips.
Fuck, babe. That was the hottest fuck I've had since...
He stopped talking and my ears perked up. The only thing that could have ruined the bliss was the creak I heard deep in the apartment. Jackie,
come on.
He grabbed me by the wrist and lifted me up, running for the bathroom as he grabbed half our clothes. Shit. The door clamped shut. I had my back pressed to the wood, trying not to look too hard at his gorgeous naked body in front of me. Jackie's soft footsteps moved past us, and then stopped when she got into the living room. I didn't see my bra, or the oversized shirt I'd been wearing. Brass's cut was still somewhere on the floor, too. If my sister saw that mess of clothes out there, we couldn't hide it. She'd have no doubt about the dirty, dirty deed that went down on the floor just a few minutes ago. The wild animal lay I hadn't fully processed myself. "Brass," I whispered, hoarse and scared. Panic shot through my eyes.
It's okay, babe.
He gave me a serious look, sliding on his jeans, shirtless and shining with sweat and dark ink.
Let me handle this shit.
I stood there like an idiot as he flung open the door and stepped out. I grabbed the handle, wanting to scream after him, but he strode out as confidently as if he'd just showered. Watching through the crack in the door, I saw Jackie jump and turned to face the huge biker standing a couple feet away. Her mouth fell open, and so did mine.
What'll it be today, darling?
Brass said, his arms folded.
Pancakes or French toast?
Jackie looked like she was about to blow up in tears. Oh, God. My heart tightened up, and I clutched at my chest with one hand. My nipples were still soft and full from fucking him. Damn, why couldn't we have had one more second to grab the rest of our clothes so I wouldn't have to run out there buck naked? And wouldn't doing that make things worse? My legs felt like they were stuck in concrete. Then the silence broke. Jackie opened her mouth and doubled over. Next thing I knew, she was laughing. High, shrill, girlish giggles I hadn't heard since sometime before Dad got really bad. Brass caught her before she fell onto our crumpled clothes, holding her hand and helping her into the recliner. While he was down there, he scooped up the rest of our things, giving her a minute before he stood back up.
What's so damned funny?
Jackie took one look at him and burst into laughter all over again. It's nothing. You're cool is all. I think I want the toast.
Coming right up, soon as I help your sis get dressed.
He smiled and patted past her, returning to me. Jackie spun the chair around to face us. I was still looking at the sassy red sheen on her face before Brass stepped inside and slammed the door behind us, but not before she caught my eyes. I jerked my head away, blushing like I hadn't blushed since I was probably her age. What the hell was that? I asked, shaking my head.
A wink and a nod. Don't ask, don't tell. Owning the shit that just happened between you and me without sitting your little sis down on the couch and talking about the birds and the bees. Me and my own sis did this kind of shit when we had dates in the house under Ma's nose. Well, me way more than her. If she'd fucked more guys, maybe she wouldn't have ended up with that prairie pussy Blaze.
He stepped past me, kicking off his jeans, and reached for the shower handle. I was too stunned to ask what the hell he was talking about with his own family business. That's crazy, I gasped. She's 14, Brass. She knows what we were doing.
Exactly.
He turned to me and winked.
And she didn't seem real upset by it neither, did she? Best way to deal with it is being open and honest. She doesn't need any dark and dirty details. We'll keep that between us, babe.
He reached behind my back and pulled me in, one hand moving to my ass. Before I could even curse, he had the panties off I'd just thrown on, pushing me against his chest. I'd never seen his eyes so bright and mischievous. If it wasn't for the fact Jackie almost stumbled in on us fucking, I would have loved it. My hands beat his grizzly bear tattoos, and I tried to wriggle away. Brass laughed, pulling me closer, pressing his lips to mine. The shower hissed and filled the bathroom with steam while we kissed. One fast, furious taste, and I knew I was in too deep. All the horror and disgust in the world couldn't have stopped my pussy from tingling as he worked his tongue against mine. Holy shit. So much for shame. What are you doing? I shook my head, breaking the kiss. I shouldn't have bothered asking, because one more squeeze of my ass told me.
What does it look like? Cleaning up and fucking your brains out before we eat breakfast,
Brass said, bringing one hand to my breast, tweaking my bright pink nipple. I shuddered. My body was completely shameless, and it was quickly overpowering my head. Oh, shit. This can't be seriously happening, can it? He looked down at my panties wadded up near my feet.
I'll stuff those in your mouth if you're worried about Sis hearing more than she needs to over the shower, but it's plenty loud with this shit going. Come on.
He brushed the curtain aside and stepped in, pulling me with him. His hands worked fast, picking up where they'd left off, plumping one breast while the other slid between my thighs. He found my clit and worked his fingers, tender, trending, rough strokes, so filled with need I couldn't have dreamed about saying no.
Just so you know, this is the last time we're fucking all secret squirrel, babe. Next time, I'm gonna drag your pretty ass somewhere we can fuck good and proper. I want to hear everything that comes out of your mouth when you come on my cock.
I opened my mouth to answer, but nothing would come out. I barely stopped the moan building in my throat in time, knees shaking, folding my palms tight against the wall. It felt so good having his fingers moving through my folds, swirling against my clit, all while the steady hum of hot water beat against our backs. My head started to roll back and forth, struggling to hold it all in. Brass slowed the circles around my clit, holding me in suspense. Bastard tease. Just as I tried to turn, he grabbed my wrists and held me tight, throwing my palms back to the wall.
Don't. That was just a warm-up. No fucking way are you coming on my hands and mouth twice in one morning, Missy. This dick's not halfway done with its workout.
I heard something crinkle up and fall to the floor. He'd snuck a condom out of his pants sometime when I was lost in pure bliss on his fingers. Heat bloomed in my womb and shot up my spine when he rubbed against my ass, hard and sheathed, ready to fuck like never before. His hand slipped away and found its way over my mouth. I could smell my own scent on him, a wetness against my lips, thicker than water.
Bite this shit when you need to. Taste your cream on my fingers. It's hot as fuck that I did this to you, babe, and now I'm gonna do a whole lot more.
He pushed inside me, and my knees went full jackhammer. His cock slid up more easily this time, probably because I'd never been so wet in my entire life. I sucked my bottom lip and chewed, resisting the urge to bite his hand like he'd invited me to. I'd need to save that for later, but not much longer. When he started to thrust, I knew I wasn't going to last long. Fresh lava swelled inside my head, bathing me in creeping pleasure, like someone kindled a fire near my brainstem. My ass lifted up and fell against him, rocking to meet his thrusts, following his lead as he picked up speed. My lips formed an O against his skin. Brass pounded deeper, harder, faster. My back arched and the firestorm in my belly pinched everything tighter, a vortex that wouldn't let go until every muscle in my body turned to stone. His hand clamped over my mouth a second before I screamed, pushing it back inside me. The suffocating fire ripping through me made me lose my mind. I couldn't think about the pain or serving the club, or what Jackie would think anymore. All I could think about was how fucking good his dick felt buried in me, swelling as he let go and joined me in ecstasy.
Fuck, don't, fucking, stop.
His last words gurgled out before he let go, filling the condom deep inside me, making shallower strokes with his throbbing cock, losing his load. He fucked right through my pleasure. His balls pulsed against my pussy, hurling seed, stretching our pleasure to its rabid breaking point. I sweated, clawed, and rasped into his hand, all through my climax. When it finally let up, I slumped down, wriggling my ass against him to milk the last energy out of him. His big chest rose and fell in waves. He cursed as he pulled out, drawing off the condom and shoving aside the shower curtain to toss it toward the waste bin. I heard it hit the trash next to the toilet. Perfect shot.
Fuck, baby girl. I'm never gonna get tired of this. I want to keep fucking you till I can't even think. You understand?
He held one hand around my waist and slowly turned me around. My lips trembled. Yeah, I think I do.
Think? Shit. That means I've still got work to do. By the end of the week, I promise I'm gonna find some way to get us both out of this shit for good. I'm done letting anything come between me and this pussy.
I cocked my head, stepping into his warm embrace, listening to the steady slap of the water on our skin. The steamy cloud filling the bathroom was like a second embrace layered over us, a welcome dreamy haze in the post-orgasmic bliss. You really think your club's going to trust us? Let me off the hook that fast? His face darkened. He leaned in, resting his forehead against mine.
No.
Brass paused, as if he was mulling his words.
I've been wrong about most of my brothers for so long. Everybody except Rabid, Blackjack, maybe a couple other guys. They're all fucked. Fucked up and sick. And it's only gonna get worse.
I shook my head, trying to understand. What was he saying?
Babe, I'm gonna take you somewhere far away, you and Jackie both. Somewhere you can be safe and live your lives without worrying about a bunch of assholes pushing the knife into your throats.
I shuddered. The crude imagery wasn't just an exaggeration. Then I thought about his words, reading between the lines. My heart skipped a beat when I saw it laid out in front of me. Holy shit. You mean you're going to...
Leave? Yeah? If that's what it takes to protect you, so be it. We'll head north, all the way through Oregon and Washington. Maybe find some place way up near Canada where nobody's got to worry about MCs or cartels tearing each other to bloody pieces.
Brass? My voice hitched. I started to slide down, but he caught me, laying my cheek on his chest. Shh, he whispered, running his fingers softly through my wet hair.
All we gotta do is go through the motions till I figure shit out. 1 week. That's all it's gonna take to get shit in order and go. I just need to work the logistics and tell a couple guys I can trust what's up. I can't come right away, though. Got some unfinished business with the club, and if I take off permanently, I'd like to leave on good terms.
Won't they make things worse for all of us when they find out what you're planning?
I don't give a shit, he growled. You're my old lady, and I can do whatever the fuck I want with you. If nobody understands that, if I don't have a single fucking brother sticking up for me, then I'll know everything my club represents is a goddamned sham.
He turned, holding my hand, twisting the shower faucet until the steady warm rain stopped. I pulled away, folding my arms over my breasts in the steam, wiping my eyes. His arm swept the shower curtain aside. He looked at our clothes strewn over the floor, his gaze zeroing in on his cut. I watched his magnificent hard ass as he stepped out, pulling his cut off the ground and letting it fall open in his hands.
I gave my life, and cost some other people theirs trying to do right by this patch.
A sad tone darkened his voice.
Maybe one day I'll be able to. Maybe after the cartel's done thinning out the trash. But not while this club's controlled by a bunch of greedy fucking maniacs who think it's okay to kill, rape, and burn the whole world for no good reason.
The leather vest dropped and hit the floor. He turned toward me, naked in the steam, eyes shining brighter than I'd ever seen them.
Don't worry. I'm not going back on anything I said while I was wearing these colors. Proud and stupid. I'm still a full patch member in the Grizzlies MC. I vote, I fight for the honest brothers, and everything I've said and done since wearing this patch belongs to me.
He stepped forward, helping me over the tub's edge to the tile floor.
You're my old lady, babe, come heaven or hell. I don't need any fucking club behind me to back that up. Long as you're willing to have me, I'm gonna have you. Every way that's beautiful and dirty and fucking sweet. You and me, Missy. Just us against the whole fucking world, if that's the way it's gotta be.
He took my hand. In the last 2 hours, everything went crazy. The man I'd thought about killing was staring at me like I was an angel. If it wasn't for the warmth filling my heart, the guilt there would have caused it to sink like a lead weight. I swallowed the thick lump in my throat and mustered my most serious stare. "I'm ready, Brass. I want you to set things right, and I'm ready to run away if it means we can finally be together, start over, keep my sister safe." He tugged me closer, one strong arm around me, pushing a sturdy finger to my lips.
"Stop. There's no fucking ifs in what we're gonna do. You, girl, are coming with me no matter what's up ahead. You're mine, damn it. And once I lay claim, I don't let go. Not for the club, not for the cartel, not for my own fucking mistakes. Not even for the awesome fucking French toast I'm gonna make when we get out of here."
It took me a minute to figure out that last part. Then I remembered Jackie was still outside in the living room, waiting for us, and the breakfast he'd promised. Smiling like an idiot, I punched him in the side. Jerk. We'll judge how awesome this stuff's going to be. He grinned.
"Dry your hair and get dressed. You'll find out."
We were stuffed around the little breakfast table about 30 minutes later. The entire apartment smelled like warm bread, cinnamon and syrup, sweet as it was comforting. Jackie dove into hers with a teenager's appetite, eyeing the big stack of breakfast on the serving plate. He served up eggs to go with the toast and a pitcher of coffee. It looked as good as it smelled. Brass didn't touch his food. He sat across from me, his Grizzlies MC t-shirt clinging to his chest, waiting for me to have a bite. I dipped my toast in syrup and brought it to my lips. One crunch and I was in pure heaven. I think I moaned, dangerously close to the sound I'd made in the shower, when he pushed me over the edge.
"Fuck yeah," he said, reaching for his own bread. "Told you it was good."
Jackie looked at us both, covering her mouth. I rolled my eyes when I finally came out of my sugary high. Whatever, she had every reason to giggle, and it was good to hear her laugh versus all the alternatives weighing on us the last few weeks. Soon, we'd be heading out for the day while my Krista showed up for lessons. I'd be stuck cleaning up more of the mess from the night before, hoping to God that freak with the barbed wire on his face kept his distance. One more week? I told myself I could do it. With a few more mornings like this, maybe I could. And maybe, just maybe, being his old lady wasn't half bad.
6. Escape Plan. Brass. Fuck. I did it. I really made up my mind, ready to leave behind everything I'd given my life to since I turned 18, ready to turn on the brotherhood that was never anything but a fucking illusion. Sitting at the table for church the next day was surreal. Fang came in and took his seat at the head, red as molten steel. When Crack snuck in behind him, moving like an animal with its tail between its legs, I knew he'd broken the news about the cartel hit in SoCal. The room was stuffy, tense with brothers waiting to hear the prez go off like fucking dynamite. Instead, he picked up the petrified bear claw, raking its nails just right on the table. Sounded like some asshole teacher scratching chalkboard. Guys covered their ears and groaned, including me. We only stopped when he slammed the thing so hard on the wood I thought the whole table was going to go up in splinters. "All right, you bastards, listen up. Hope you all enjoyed lipstick night, 'cause it's going to be the last time you fuckers get enough free time to get your cocks sucked for a good long while. Half this room was holding out on me about San Diego. You motherfuckers must think I'm stupid or incompetent. Which is it?" His hard eyes shot to Crack, then Blackjack next to him, slowly moving down the ranks of brothers. When they landed on me, Fang blinked, peeling his lips back in an angry snarl. It was the same ferocious smile I'd seen before I crashed out on the floor, and I remembered those two scared whores with him. "Well, clearly I've lost your fucking faith, or I'd be getting my intel without assholes sealing their lips." "Fang." Crack folded his hands and leaned toward him, but froze the instant the prez shot him the evilest eye I'd ever seen. "Shut the fuck up, both you assholes!" Fang's head snapped back to Blackjack. "I'm gonna give you one chance to call a no-confidence vote for president. Everybody in this room's gonna have their say. If I walk out of here still holding the claw, then I expect to have everything flowing to me the instant it happens. And I mean abso-fucking-lutely everything, even if it makes me want to tear this place upside down. This club is dysfunctional, fucked when the head doesn't know the fucking tail's on fire. Nobody moved. Fang had been the national pres since... Fuck, I didn't even know. Decades. I wasn't sure what to think. The pale, flat expression on Rabbit's face next to me said my brother was just as confused as me. This shit was unprecedented, and now we were gonna see if anybody had the balls to threaten removal the safe and easy way, or if this was some kind of fucking trick. Prez, in the interest of full disclosure, I think everybody ought to know about Tacoma. Blackjack started to speak, but Fang cut him off with another table-rocking slam of the bear claw. They don't need to know shit till they decide if I'm gonna lead or if some other cocksucker wants to sit on this mountain of shit. Come on, asshole. Be a man. His eyes were dark, intense, drilling into our old enforcers. Finally, Blackjack stood up, his gray hair flopping on his shoulders. Fine. All right, everybody, we're going to take a vote on no confidence for the sitting prez of the Sacramento Charter and acting prez of Redding. If Fang's deemed to have lost our faith, then we'll have to elect a new man to head the club. Not just our charter, but for the entire Grizzlies MC in the whole 12-state area. Fang rolled his eyes. Fucking get on with it! Here, Sarge. The prez sneered as he passed the bear claw to Blackjack. As enforcer, it was his job to carry out a vote like this. My brain was on fucking fire. I couldn't decide if this was a blessing or one hell of a curse. If Fang was removed, and that was one big if, the club would be in so much chaos it'd be a cakewalk moving Missy and her sis north. Shit, even I could slip away in the craziness if I wanted to, assuming the cartel didn't crash the power struggle and burn us all alive. Blackjack gripped the bear claw. He looked us up and down, letting his eyes linger on Rabbit and I. Let's do it, brothers. Starting at the head of the table, every man here gets a vote except the prez, an aye or a nay. I'll keep count. Crack? The VP was the first man up. 30 pairs of eyes turned toward him. Fuck. The first few votes were bound to set the precedent. The only way Fang was going to be removed was if anybody had the balls to effectively spit in his face. And I wasn't sure anybody here had the balls. Damn it. If only the charter allowed these kind of fucking votes to go by secret ballot instead. My heart stopped. I forgot to breathe. For a second, I thought he was really going to do it. Thought Crack was going to vote aye for his own selfish-ass reasons. Nay, the VP choked out. Adrenaline flooded my head. Rabbit let out a little hissing sound, and several brothers next to us looked down, shuffling their boots underneath the long table. Blackjack moved down the line, cold and efficient, no emotion showing on his face. Nay, nay, nay. 3 more votes to keep Fang, then 6, then 5. Nay! Rabbit's hoarse, quick vote echoed loud in my ears, like the sound of my own blood running out after getting stabbed. Fuck. It was my turn, and Blackjack was looking right at me. I didn't have to count everybody else on my right to know they'd all have to vote aye to even make this fucking thing a tie. I clenched my teeth and waited too many seconds before I let it out. Aye. Several brothers cleared their throats loudly. I caught Fang's eyes before he caught mine, holding as firm as I could without shaking, looking right into his devilish eyes. He'd saved me from being burned alive with the other rebel Grizzlies one fucked-up night in Montana. But fuck, he wasn't good for the club. There were no excuses. We were losing the cartel war, and he was letting desperation eat us alive, turn us into demons no better than the Mexicans. I had to be honest. The Grizzlies' patch on my back felt like lead, and the one on my chest itched something terrible. There was no understanding in the Prez's eyes, not even when the asshole next to me voted nay, followed by Cereal and Splitter, too. I tried to do right by the club, the same thing everybody wearing the bear in their cuts was supposed to be about. Idealistic? Stupid? Probably. Right? Fuck yes. It was over long before it swung back around the U-shaped gathering toward Blackjack. I was the only eye. I seriously wondered if I'd make it out of the room alive when the claw returned to Fang. I didn't give a fuck what happened to me. All I could think about was getting killed before I had a chance to get Missy and Jackie out. Fuck. If there was a God, I really needed a miracle right now, more than I ever needed one in my life. Of course, I was the last asshole in the world who deserved good karma after getting Ma killed and drugging myself blind, but a man could hope. Fang broke the death stare with me and his jaw fell open. Blackjack stood like stone, his face hard as if to say, "Yeah, asshole, I did it." The whole room heard the relief hissing out my nostrils. Now that I wasn't the lone asshole voting aye, I might have a chance to smooth things over before some brother slit my throat in my sleep. "The nays have it," Blackjack said, taking his seat. He held the bear claw several seconds longer than he needed to before passing it to Fang. When he held it out to the Prez, Fang ripped it out of his hand, slamming it down on the table again. "Okay, it's done. Everybody in this room knows exactly where the fuck everybody else stands." His tone sounded calm, but the tremor in his shoulders said otherwise. "Blackjack, tell them about Tacoma." "We had another shipment hit by the cartel last night," he said, his voice as icy as Fang's. "Some heavy weapons we picked up from a Chinese drop-off. It never made it out of port. The Washington crew found 3 of their guys dead plus a couple prospects, and all the boxes gone the next day." "Shit! You mean the cartel slipped that far north without hitting us in Redding first?" Serial pulled out a cigarette and took a long drag. "No! Right now there's no proof it was the Mexicans at all," Fang said, leveling his eyes on me again. "The Devil's got a much stronger presence on our northern front. They've been coming through our territory for months, hauling shit to Canada, paying us their toll as agreed. All part of the truce I was a goddamn fool to sign." My head started to spin. I had to grip the table's edge just to stay focused before that asshole sucked me into the black hell waiting in his eyes. Fuck. War with the Devils meant one more thing for me to worry about when it involved my own fucking sister and her prairie pussy husband. "Prez, we owe it to the club to find out what's going on before we do anything," I spoke up. "Seems like the perfect kick in the nuts from the cartel. Hit us somewhere we least expect, make us think it was the prairie pussies, fuck everything to pieces up north when we need every guy fighting them in the south." Fang bared his teeth. The bear claw smacked the table loudly, and then he stood up and roared, "Sit down and shut the fuck up, you little shit!" The Prez and I both hit our seats at the same time. Rabbit looked at me like I was about to get my head chopped off. Hell, for all I knew, maybe I was. Then again, decapitation would have been a whole lot easier than the mauler, and they'd definitely use that fucking thing if they wanted me dead. "Nothing's been decided," Fang growled, "but I've got my suspicions. The pussies have been expanding west where they don't belong for too fucking long. They know it's the perfect time to hit us right now. Shit, if I were throttle up in North Dakota, I'd jam it so hard up our asses we'd scream if I knew about the intel your old lady's dead daddy passed to the cartel, brass." I swallowed hard. My throat was bone-fucking dry. All the guys in the room looked at me like wolves. Everybody except Blackjack and Rabbit. "You know what I think?" Fang said, folding his arms, never taking his eyes off me. "I think we've got more rats biting holes in our ship. Rats on the inside, passing shit to the cartel, and possibly our old friends in the Devils, too. No, I can't prove anything, yet, but when I do, the mauler's gonna have a lot of traitor skin to chew on. A hard interrogation and death's the only thing rats deserve. Same fucking thing any asshole in this room's gonna get by holding back critical intel from this day forward. New policy. I'll have crack write it into the club charter later." Sneering, he turned to Blackjack. "Or would you like me to put that up to vote, too?" "Your call, Prez. You know the charter just as well as I do," Blackjack said, a little hint of sarcasm breaking through. "The national president doesn't need to put all defense decisions up to vote when the club's under imminent threat." "Damned straight," Fang snapped. "I don't know what's going on, but I'm gonna find out. When I do, it'll be time to clean house. We can't fight the cartel head-on till we stomp the vermin in our own midst, and if it means we've got to fight the Devils, too, well, who am I to hold all the boys back who are jonesing for some prairie pussy colors hanging on their walls?" Several of the rougher men grinned, including Serial. Of course that motherfucker wanted blood. What else could anybody expect from a psycho fuck? The men who lived on senseless war were never my brothers. They never would be. Fuck, I had to get away from this shit. I had to... The bear claw slapped the table again. Loudly. I blinked, losing my thoughts. "Business adjourned. Keep your asses on call. I'm gonna need guys back here once I figure out who's been fucking us and how we're gonna cut the cartel before they bleed us out." Fang looked around the room, casting a wide, wicked gaze. "It's all I fucking do. This club's my life, and I'm its lifeblood." He stood up and left first, followed by the Veep. Brothers got up and started to move, more than a couple giving me nasty looks on the way out. I made my way to the door when the room was halfway clear with Rabbit right behind me. At the bar, Susie served us some beers, something to take the edge off. I noticed Serial, Splitter, and a couple other ruthless assholes at the other end, and I made damned sure they kept their distance. How fucked was I? Really? The only thing that hadn't screwed me over today was all the drama keeping their attention on the Prez's vote. Nobody gave me shit yet about Missy not showing up to clean today, or maybe they figured she deserved some slack after what Serial did last night. You voted the way I wanted to, Rabbit finally said. You know that, brother? I just couldn't bring myself to do it. The vote was fucked from the beginning. Nobody has the balls to kick him out and take the cartel on. Nobody. It's done, I grunted, staring into my beer. So's digging my grave deeper. I'm going to tell you, Rabbit, and nobody else. You've been a real brother to me. Rabbit's eyebrows went up. He leaned in close for me to whisper. In a week or so, I'm taking the girls north. They're getting the fuck away from this shit in case I can't. I'm not going to let my old lady and the kid be a slave to this fucked up club. Rabbit peeled away, rocking back. His eyes were wide as he picked up his beer and gulped the last 2/3, slamming the glass on the counter when he was done. Christ, brother! Shit! He shook his head. You really think that's wise when Fang was practically calling you a rat to your face? Got no choice. I'm a natural target. I tried to vote him out, and my sis is married to the pussy prez in Montana. If Fang's gonna string me up and rip my throat out, I'm not gonna leave my girl defenseless. They've gotta get away from all this. Rabbit cocked his head. Shit, bro. You're really into this chick, aren't you? I nodded. No point in hiding it, and I didn't fucking want to. She's warming to me, Rabbit. I intend to keep it that way. Sure, I claimed her to keep her alive at first, but now? There's something there, something real fucking nice. She's becoming the stuff an old lady's made of. Rabbit smiled. He slapped my shoulder in a way that surprised me. The man who likes his girls steady, hot, and plentiful actually understood, and it surprised the shit out of me. I got your back, Brass. If you need to get away from all this shit, just get up and go. I'm not going to stand in your way. Won't help anybody who does neither. You're a true brother. I didn't say a word. Just finished my beer, turned to him, and gave a manly hug before taking off. I wasn't sure if I'd be able to walk out of this clubhouse alive in the coming week, but as long as I had one more day, a couple good men, and my girl behind me, I'd die happy. As long as I got them away from this hell, I'd die like a man, working off the junky fuck-ups I still deserved to burn for. I got in late. The apartment was weirdly quiet, and I had to take a stroll through it to see that I wasn't alone. Where's Jackie? I said, stepping into the bedroom. Missy was curled up beneath a blanket, reading some shit she'd printed off the old computer. Krista took her out to the museum. I know you said no trips out of the apartment, but I figured after last night that might have changed. She won't talk, Brass. She's really grown on you. My head started pounding. I leaned on the woodwork in the doorframe and ran my fingers through my hair. Fuck, babe. You gotta tell me when you give the okay for shit like this. We're not free and clear yet. She sat up, her eyes wide. Did anybody ask about me today? No. The club was too distracted with other bullshit. I told my number one brother what's coming. He's cool with it. Missy nodded. She swung her legs over the bed and stood up, dropping the blanket. Did a double take when I saw she was wearing nothing on the bottom, not even panties underneath her long shirt. Shit. And you definitely gotta start telling me about that, I growled, overwhelmed by the grin creeping across my face. She stepped right into my embrace. I hugged her close, sweeping my hands down her ass. My cock perked up, ready to fuck both our brains out. Damned if I didn't need it after having Fang's evil eyes all over my mug all evening. Yeah, baby girl, I thought. A dude can definitely get used to this if it's what an old man can look forward to. I kissed her, rough as the rage and confusion still swirling around inside me. Fuck, there was a hint of sugar on her lips from this morning. Sugar and spice and everything very fucking nice. I grabbed her hips and squeezed, grinding her bare pussy on my jeans. She gasped when she felt my heart on. Brass, what time does Jackie come home? I asked, digging my fingers into her round ass. God damn. I'd never, ever get tired of it, and I couldn't wait to take her from every angle while she bounced all over my dick. Another hour? Maybe 2, she purred, brushing her sweet little lips against mine. My cock thudded in my pants like a fucking jackhammer. Suddenly the shitty day was turned on its head, and now I only had one thing to worry about, how many times I was gonna fuck her to the wall before the girl got home. I was on her like an animal, picked her up in my arms and flung her down on the bed, tearing off that shirt. Shit, she was missing her bra, too, and those pretty pink nipples called to my mouth like sirens. I fell over her, bracing myself with my hands. She squirmed and giggled as my chin moved down, rough stubble sliding over her throat, not stopping till I got her right nip in my mouth. Holy fucking shit. Every part of her tasted good, and I swore her skin heated a few degrees hotter when I sucked, holding it between my teeth. I had a gift for biting a woman's tits just right, the perfect bite for making them slick and ready for my dick. When I did it to my Missy, she rolled, hissing rough satisfaction as my tongue flicked her tip. I sucked it till it was soft in my mouth, then started on the other one I'd been tweaking with my fingers. When I went in her today, she was gonna be good and ready, wet enough to fuck as many times as I could manage during this precious time alone. Brass! Brass! She slurred my name over and over, starting to go crazy as my stubble and mouth kissed their way down, stopping at the sweet, wet V below her trim pussy hair. It was like a fucking target for my mouth, and I always hit my bullseye. She started to squirm with the first lick. One day soon I'd drive that self-conscious shit out of her. There was no way, absolutely none, she was getting out of having my mouth on her sweet cunt, lapping deep and long, starving for her taste. Just let me lick. Listen to my tongue and behave yourself, babe. Don't worry about shit except how hard you're gonna come on my lips. I couldn't say anything while I had my mouth buried in her sweetness, but I sure as fuck thought it. Couldn't think about anything else while I licked inside her pussy, relishing her taste, her smell, then moving up and making her body jerk when I lashed her clit. Fuck, she was hot. Hot and responsive enough to make me forget all about the vipers nipping at my heels. I licked deep, hard, loving. I surrounded her clit with my tongue, sucked it between my teeth, holding it there so I could press her sweetest button again and again, begging her to blow. She finally did. I knew the minute her legs started trembling in my hands, shaking on both sides of my head. I pressed my fingers into her tender flesh and held her down, circling her clit with fresh licks like a fucking demon. Her pussy thrashed against my face when she came. Her screams splashed my lips as she tightened up and gushed. Damn if I didn't push my face into her harder. This mess was my pride and joy, a sopping wet symbol of the effect I had on her. Missy's fingernails pushed through my hair and dragged on my head. Didn't stop me from continuing my assault on her clit till she finally stopped bucking on my face. I could practically hear the explosion echoing through her body as she gave it up, coming on my tongue. Coming just for me. Beautiful. Totally fucking beautiful. In the sweet peace I gave her, coming her pretty brains out, she didn't have to worry about a damned thing. And neither did I when I watched her, felt her, tasted her. If I could have stayed attached to that pussy for the next 2 days, just licking, sucking, and fucking it with my tongue, I would have been a happy man. But right now I'd be even happier when I let out some of the fire raging in my cock. I stood up while she was still twitching, coming off the high. Tore off my clothes fast and fished out a condom, loving how she was sprawled out and ready for me on the bed. I rolled the condom on, crawled onto the bed, and pushed between her legs. She opened her eyes and looked seductive as fuck without even trying when I touched her. Babe, you better turn over right now. Get on your hands and knees. I'll show you how we make the most of things when our time's scarce. She moaned and I helped her up, watching her hot ass bob as she got into the perfect position. I reached up, fisting her hair, grinding my cock against her ass cheeks. Fuck. One day I'd take her ass too, but today was all about her pussy. No goddamned way was I gonna let that wet, sweet silk I'd stroked go to waste. One push and I was in. Missy's whole body jerked and I held on tight, jerking on her hair like the reins they were. We fucked hard. Taking her doggy let me make the deep strokes I loved, gradually picking up speed and tension, shaking her from head to toe. The bed rattled beneath my knees, giving her an extra bounce each time she fell back into me. I loved it. I watched her tits from the side, kept the tempo rising till they shook like ripe fruits beneath her, bobbing back and forth, pendulums of pure lust swinging each time my dick drove deep. The fire in my nuts hadn't lessened one bit. Fuck no. It was growing stronger, spilling out my balls and racing up my spine. Hot lava churned beneath my dick and my balls started to tense up after a few breathless minutes of rough fucking. "Come, babe," I growled, reaching my free hand around her stomach. I found her clit and rubbed hard. Just what she needed to tense up on my cock and convulse. Missy screamed and then screamed harder when I jerked her head up, curling her beautiful brown hair around and around my fingers, spooling her to the limit before I joined her. And I did a second later. "Fuck! Don't stop shaking that ass! Grind into me, baby girl, hard as you fucking can!" She took orders like a good girl, even balls deep in her climax. My cock pressed against her womb and ballooned when her ass hit my pubic bone. I fucking lost it. My nut came seething and furious, the kind of release that splinters your brain in half. It was like being lit on fire. Her screams disappeared into a breathless gasp as I shook my dick inside her, feeling the first hot cum load blowing into the condom. I didn't fucking stop. I kept rocking inside her, making shallow spikes deep in her pussy. Marking her, fucking her, loving her every way I could till my body gave out. My heart beat like a fiend against my ribs. Jet after jet of flaming hot sperm shot up my shaft and pulsed heat through my muscles. I felt like I'd grown taller, swelled out, full of total love and lust like a fucking giant. Shit. That's when it reached up and punched me in the fucking face. If the club or the cartel didn't kill me, this girl would. She'd drive me absolutely fucking loco whether I had her in my arms or my dick buried inside her. Smack didn't have shit on the addiction she ignited in my blood. I rolled, tugging her in my arms, pulling her to my chest. The big bear on my chest was like a landing pad for her face. Something natural, something good, something worth fighting for, no matter how miserable the odds were stacked against us. "Rest up, babe. Don't go to sleep on me. We're not done here by a long shot." I gave her a playful smack on the ass and she jerked alert. The annoyed look on her face melted in a smile. "You're the only man who's ever gotten away with that, you know." I winked. "Fuck, I'd better be, babe. If anybody else has had his hands on this sweet ass, you point me his way and I'll knock his fucking teeth out. You know what this is?" I reached for both cheeks and squeezed. She whimpered in my hands, then opened her eyes, snuggling into me, staring at the ink on my chest. "It's my butt," she said, laughing like an angel, "and it's all fucking mine." Why did that word always sound like a saw firing up in my throat when I said it? Filled me with the same kind of primal fury I felt looking at Fang or Serial or any of the other assholes who'd fucked my club beyond repair. I'd never let anything take this body away from me. Never. Why do they call you Brass, anyway? Do bikers still have normal names behind all the crazy egos? She asked. I grinned. It happened when I was a prospect. Everybody's got a different right when they get in with the club. Some guys just make you do chores and shit. You know, serve them beers, polish their shoes, toss bottles and condoms after the parties. Others are downright fucks who like to see how much pain you can take. She shook her head sadly. Sounds like a frat house. Yeah, except this is a lot more serious. Or that's what it's supposed to be, I thought, my heart darkening when I imagined all the ways our brotherhood went off the rails. Anyway, there was this one mean fucking Coeur d'Alene who always punched the prospects in the nuts. Hard as he fucking could, just short of leaving them sterile. I knew what was coming that night at the party when all the boys were drunk and ready to fuck around messing with their new guys. There was an old brass doorknob coming loose in the bathroom. I stuffed it down my pants before it was my turn to serve that fuck a drink. Asshole broke his fucking hand when he nailed me in the balls. I got away a little winded, nothing worse. She blinked, then laughed and shook her head. That's crazy. What stopped him from killing you after that? Prez took a vote to patch me in right on the spot. Said it was the hardest he'd laughed in years. Fuck, I'd give anything if Ox was controlling Redding instead of Fang. He was fucked up in his own way, but fair. A lot like Blackjack. So, you're kind of the Joker boy then? She dragged her fingernails along my chest. My skin sizzled, hair standing on end, crying to fuck her the second I was hard. You never said what your real name is. It's Jordan, babe. Jordan Reagan. Don't wear it out. Best time for me to hear it's when your pussy's exploding on my dick. Jordan, she whispered. It's good. Strong. About what I expected. Good. I'd have laughed in your face if you expected me to be called Manny or some shit like that. I don't care what they call you. I know what I want, Brass, and it's right here. Fuck yes, she did. Missy leaned down, flicking her tongue along my lips. A couple more flicks in quick succession teased me stupid. Little devil. She knew how to work my ass as well as I knew how to work hers, and I loved it. On the fourth lick, I reached up and fisted her hair, holding her tight to my lips. I wouldn't let her out of that kiss till she reached down and grabbed my cock, hardening against her thigh. She gave it a good squeeze, and I grunted. I wanted to pull her thighs open and drive deep inside her, make her ride me for all she was worth, but I needed another condom first. I saw red, thinking about how I had to get her that shit I had waiting in my jeans. Things would move a lot more natural after I gave her the pills I snatched from the club infirmary. Not that I was going to register a single fucking complaint about the filthy deeds going down in this bed all evening. No fucking way. Every day breathing in her sweet scent while I fused my dick to her was a good one. I just hoped like hell there'd be many more to come, many more perfect days tangled up in my old lady. Come on, babe, we gotta get this shit locked in for Friday before you take off. She pulled on my cut, dazed at all the choices in the rental office. Reserving something to carry her and Jackie north was the best way to get them out of Redding without the brothers being able to track her down. Giving her my truck was way too risky. "You sure you can afford this?" she asked, her fingers running over a cherry-red hatchback thing in the catalog. "Yeah, we'll be good as gold just as soon as my next club stipend comes in. Better to get our pieces together now." "But we don't even know where yet." She looked so damned confused, disoriented. I grabbed her hand and pushed my fingers through hers. Raw strength always reassured a woman, and I had no doubt it was going to work on the one I wanted most. "I like the look of that car." I pointed at the bright red vehicle. "A little style and not so much it'll draw attention. Extra space to carry your shit north and plenty rugged for the mountains and forests we'll be dealing with past NorCal." She punched me in the arm. I grinned. "Careful, mister. I just might decide to take that Harley up and have you drive Jackie in the hatchback." I laughed. She knew how to dish it out and take it. My kind of girl, as if it wasn't glaringly fucking obvious by now. "All right. That one it is. It's even got some fancy USB shit to keep Jackie entertained. I'm going to get both you girls new phones before we blow town as soon as we're free and clear." I left her standing near the counter while I went to arrange the rental. I looked behind me while the skinny fuck with the thin mustache at the counter ran my card. Saw her walking off, probably heading for the restroom or something. The kid passed me my printout and told me the car would be ready in a couple days. Perfect timing to get the reservation fee off my shit and pay it all in cash, same way I dealt with everything. Before I moved away, I looked him up and down. The dude wasn't much younger than me, maybe a year or two. He looked like a little boy. I grunted. One thing I'd never regret about this life was that it made me a man, no matter how fucked up it could be sometimes. If it wasn't for the club, I might have turned into something like that, and then I'd want to blow my fucking brains out. The civilian world wasn't for me. If I really and truly left the patch behind, then I'd have to find something else to do. There had to be something out there to accommodate men like me. The world still needed a place for roughnecks and road warriors, even if we were an endangered species. There must have been something better than clacking keyboards or ringing up pissy impatient customers at a place like this. Whatever it was, I swore I'd find it. Anything to rake in cash for my girls without lopping off my nuts was fine by me. A man provides. I should have done it for Ma and Shelley back in Missoula before my own sis was reduced to shaking her ass at a prairie pussy bar for spare cash. But my relationship with the ladies had been strained, to put it mildly. A fucked-up home was all it took to drive me into the club, and then I found the sick paradise heroin offered. I shook my head, trying to do the math and figure out how many months it had fucked out of my life. Looking down at my arm, I saw the fading impression left by a fat needle. It was the last time those freaks in fake Grizzlies colors forced it into my veins after I betrayed them, trying to make me OD on the one thing I loved. Blaze and Shelley saved my dumb ass that night. I thought Fang did too, but he was just a king moving his pawns around on the grand board. "You're gonna do better," I vowed. "You fucking have to." I waited impatiently by the restroom for Missy. She didn't come out for 5 minutes, then 10, then another 5 on top of that. Weird and seriously fucking suspicious. A motorcycle growled outside, not far from mine. I spun around just in time to see a dude with long black hair pulling away. It was quite a distance, but I'd know that damned patch from 100 yards away. Shit, the club! My brain switched onto search, kill, and protect mode. I smashed the door open to the ladies' room and called for her. "Missy? Babe, where the fuck are you?" Nothing. Not even any feet underneath the stalls. My heart started to beat like it was going to go nova. I ran, threw myself onto my bike. I started her up and squealed out of the parking lot before I had time to think anything else, heading for the clubhouse. I knew something was fucked up the instant I stepped into the bar. Half the guys' bikes were parked outside, but nobody was inside. It was a fucking ghost town. I listened close. Couldn't hear a single brother snoring or fucking like they always did on lazy afternoons. Shit. I started to back away, toward the door. If Missy was being kept here somewhere, then there had to be a better way to find her. Fuck. I stumbled down the steps leading into the garage and then felt something behind me that shouldn't have been there. I whirled, reaching for my gun, and caught a blur right before it crashed into my face. The asshole's metal pipe knocked me flat. Vertigo took over, dragging me down, smearing everything to blood red, the color of rage and confusion. A fat boot landed on my chest and pressed down hard. My ribs screamed. "Get this fucking rat off the floor and load him up like Fang wants. We got the girls. If she doesn't make him sing, then maybe the little sister will." Cereal. If I could have reached up and strangled that sick motherfucker, I'd have done it in a heartbeat. But my brain wouldn't cooperate, spinning into a thick, incomprehensible blackness. I was out like a light, an early preview of the death they had waiting for my sorry ass.
7. Under the blade. Missy. 1 hour earlier. I never knew how they got in without us noticing. My head was spinning as I walked to the bathroom, wondering how I was going to break the news to Jackie. I wasn't even sure how I'd navigate a road trip this week, when I'd never been more than 100 miles outside Reading my entire life. I was barely looking for wet floor signs when I pushed open the door, much less 3 burly men in leather waiting for me. I crashed right into his chest, and he had his hand over my mouth before I could scream. I fought them anyway, kicked and thrashed as they picked me up like a piece of wood, carrying me to the SUV outside. I twisted in the big man's arms and caught a flash of brass still waiting at the counter. Perfectly normal, and totally twisted. There were too many blocking the view. God damn it, if only he'd turn around. Luck was never that kind. As soon as they threw me in the back seat, another man stuffed something fat and rubbery in my mouth. My teeth were struggling with the gag when another rag covered my face, reeking like thick medicine. The smell had a resemblance to all the high-powered painkillers Daddy was on during his last days. Ether. All the horror in my head melted away in one breath. By the second breath, I was falling into a deep black abyss, too lifeless to even think about screaming for help. "Wake up, bitch." A rough hand caressed my cheek. I jerked up, too fast. My head throbbed like a bad hangover, and I struggled to adjust to the bright lamp hanging somewhere overhead. My wrists burned, and so did my shoulders. I realized a second later I was tied to a chair, identical to the girl right across from me. Jackie. My heart sank and tears pricked at my eyes when I realized it was her, right before the rage set in. She was still passed out, a tiny shred of mercy. Her small face slumped on her shoulder. I must have given her the same crap they'd given me. "Who are you? Why are you doing this?" The man who'd touched me from behind stepped into the light. I recognized the fucked-up mess of barbed wire on his face right away. Cereal, and the other-headed bastard, named Splitter, with a nose ring, was right behind him. Several other dark shapes lingered behind Jackie, the light obscuring their faces. "Let her go, asshole," I hissed. "I don't care what you do to me, but my sister doesn't deserve this. She's got nothing to do with anything your club wants. You can't—" He cut me off with a sharp slap across the face. My cheek burned when I twisted my head back into place. The pain didn't stun me for some weird reason. It only added to the blinding rage tearing through my blood. "She's got everything to do with helping this club. You and your cute little twin are gonna help us loosen up the rat's tongue before we pour concrete over his fucking carcass." Jesus, they're really going to kill him? I started to shake. The animal talked way too easy about killing the man I was just beginning to love. Serial showed no remorse. There was nothing in his dark eyes, not even pleasure. It was like staring into a machine designed to look and talk like a man, but murder was its sole function.
"Just be a good girl and cooperate, baby," Splitter said behind him, chuckling beneath his breath. "This'll all be over fast if you do. You don't have to die with your old man. Nobody believes that shit about him claiming you."
"He did," I insisted. Didn't know why I thought it would. The men just laughed and shook their heads. I realized this was the worst time imaginable to be arguing about what Brass meant to me. But if we were dying here today, then somebody had to know we weren't just playing pretend. Somebody had to witness what I had in my heart, the only thing I was sure about, other than protecting Jackie on this emotional roller coaster making my heart howl.
"Whatever, princess. Guess fucking a rat's in your blood knowing who your daddy was."
Serial walked over to what looked like a small black bag on a nearby table.
"You want to play Romeo and Juliet? I honestly don't give a shit. Those fucks both died in the end, didn't they? Shakespeare was a mean son of a bitch. So am I. Thing is, you don't have to die with him. Neither does the little chick if you stuff that bitch tongue and cooperate."
A zipper opened. The men behind Jackie shifted uncomfortably, their heads turned toward whatever the hell Serial was taking out of the bag. He spun. The tangle of sharp metal made me want to scream, but then my brain froze, struggling to understand what it was seeing. Jesus Christ, was he really wearing that thing on his hand? It looked like a mess of knives, corkscrews, daggers, and hooks attached to an old baseball glove. Some sicko's fucked up idea of what a Swiss Army knife should look like if it were designed to be worn for flaying skin.
"You like it, cunt?"
Serial sniffed, taking a step closer.
"We call this nasty fucking thing the Mauler. It's the club's pride and joy, and she only comes out when a bullet to the brain isn't good enough. Sometimes I wish there were a few more rats crawling around. This poor baby goes a long time between her meals, and when she finally gets some blood, she's fucking hungry."
His eyes weren't so dark anymore. Now there was a monstrous pleasure shining in his eyes. Somehow I held it together, feeling myself leave my body, hovering over all this. I guess it was my natural defense against breaking down in tears or screaming my lungs out in front of this maniac. No, maniacs, plural. Splitter laughed behind me again, low and nasty, and the four shapes behind my sister stood like statues. One of the silhouettes had long hair hanging down his shoulders. If it was Blackjack, and it probably was, then Brass had been dead wrong, him being a decent man. Jesus, he'd been wrong about how swift they'd move on us, too. Well, right or wrong, it was much too late to be upset about it, when there was way more horror in front of me. God, realizing the only man who could protect us fucked up this bad, hurt worse than the demon shaking his murderous glove in my face. I looked into his dead eyes and cracked. "Don't do this, please. I'll tell you anything you want to know."
"You don't know shit, bitch. Neither does your dumb sister. If we wanted you to talk, we'd have stripped you down and mounted both your asses about 5 minutes ago. You're here to loosen his lips. Don't you get it?"
He stared into my eyes like a frustrated teacher looking at a dense pupil.
"Everything that happens from this point hinges on the fucking rat telling us what we want to know about his involvement with the Mexican cartel, or, more likely, the Prairie Devil's MC. We'll find out right here how much he loves you. Maybe he'll talk fast, get himself a merciful death, and do the right thing by us. Or he'll cry and plead, keeping his rat lips shut while we rip you and the baby girl over there to shreds."
He turned away, fixing his eyes on Jackie. I wasn't sure whether I should be happy or horrified she was still out. I sniffed hard, blinking back tears when he stopped behind her, gingerly putting the heavy weapon attached to his hand on her shoulder.
"I think I'll start on the little one first. Just on the off chance you were nothing more than an easy fuck to our boy."
Serial turned, sweeping the claw away. Jackie twisted her head and groaned. "Don't wake up. Don't wake up. Please, sis, don't wake up."
"Rabbit," he barked to one of the men behind him. "Go drag that turd in here. You're used to smelling his shit anyway after all the times you hung around him. Move."
One of the figures hesitated for a good 10 seconds, and then finally moved. I closed my eyes, praying Jackie wouldn't wake up with that asshole's claw next to her. Even if we somehow got out of this alive, she'd be traumatized for life. It was a small miracle watching Dad die and being captured by the Grizzlies hadn't made her comatose by now. But this would be the final straw. I just knew it. The sound of feet shuffling made me look up. Rabbit and another dead-eyed man with long hair were carrying Brass in. My heart bled hate and pain all over again when I saw my man. They'd bruised his face, scratched it. His wrists and feet were bound by crude cables. Growling, Serial stepped away from my sister. He walked behind Brass and pushed him out of the other men's arms. He hit the cement floor hard, making an oomph sound, barely louder than the rattle of his bones.
"Get up, asshole." Serial kicked him in the ribs. "Don't think you're gonna make this shit any easier playing possum, you fucking rat. I told the wrecking crew out there not to beat you senseless. They took it light. I know you're fucking awake. Look up. Look at me before I make your girls bleed."
Brass grunted, leaned down, and spat a long, sticky trail of blood. My fingers went numb. I rocked in my chair, wanting so bad to look away from all this. But ignoring the grisly sight in front of me was even worse than seeing dead on. He turned, forcing himself up when the trickle was done running out his mouth. If he saw me at his side, or Jackie at the other, he showed no sign of it. Brass just turned, looking past my sister, right at the trio against the wall. I realized then his mouth was gagged with a thick handkerchief stuck between his teeth and bound around his head.
"I'm gonna take this shit off so you can talk,"
Serial said, leaning down and almost pressing his evil lips to Brass's ear.
"But first, I'm gonna show you I'm not fucking around here. I'm gonna give you a little preview of what happens when your bitch-ass fails to tell me the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth." The thug snorted. "You think you hurt me after I went after your slut? Huh? Getting the jump on me and cracking my jaw?"
Serial shook his head.
"Well, I'm gonna hurt you 100 times worse before I even lay a fucking finger on you."
He stood, heading for Jackie again. I realized what was about to happen before he even raised his arm. "No, don't fucking do this!" I rocked in the chair as hard as I could, shaking until it almost broke. Is this what it feels like when someone's losing their mind? I wondered. The answer was right in front of me, vicious and blood-red. If he put a single scratch on Jackie's innocent skin and woke her up, I'd never be whole again. Every cut, every scratch, every wound on her was 1,000 times worse than anything he could do to my own skin. I couldn't hear myself think. My brain slipped away as he lingered over my sister, taking his sweet time, wiggling his fingers in that fucked-up Freddy Krueger thing on his hand. There was another sound, a harsher, angrier, masculine growl, deep as thunder and just as dangerous. I realized it was Brass rumbling through his gag. His whole body shook like he had a current running through him. I couldn't see what he was looking at, but it looked like he was gazing through Serial and Jackie, straight to the other men against the wall, grinding his throat like a motorcycle engine running on pure hate, betrayal, sadness.
"Come on, Serial. Get on with it,"
Black Jack said from his post against the wall.
"You're a fucking coward, you know."
Serial stopped. The freak turned his barbed wire tattooed face toward the wall as his superior stepped forward, his gray hair bobbing on his shoulders.
"What did you say to me, old man?" he snorted. "You think you got some big fat balls in your flabby sack just because you pissed in the prez's face? You're not strong. You're not brave. You're the only fuckhead stupid enough to vote with this rat, and I can't fucking wait till Fang lets me take Enforcer and puts your weak ass out to pasture."
Black Jack stepped into the light, and Brass's head followed every move he made. I couldn't see my lover's eyes, but I knew they'd be horrible, like watching a curse starting to wreak havoc.
I said you're a coward, Serial. You'd rather torture his woman instead of face the fist that pounded you in the face. A real man only enjoys spilling blood when he's evenly matched, and when it's damned well justified. This shit here.
Blackjack shook his head. Brass let out another roar through his gag. I could see his hands twitching, tied behind his back, slowly ripping at the cord. His fingers were bloody, but it really looked like he might get it off. No, this is stupid. You can't get your hopes up. Brace for the worst, girl. Brace for hell. I turned my brain off and watched Serial stare at the old man with pure venom. In a blink, he swirled, stepping to Jackie and jerking her head up by the hair. The big razor-toothed dagger attached to the glove was poised right across her throat. My eyes wouldn't work anymore. Everything was fading, turning white, like a heavy fog was descending over the room. Of course I knew it was all in my head, my brain blotting out something it couldn't comprehend and remain sane.
A coward, Serial snorted again. That's the best piss you can come up with, old fart. Would a coward do this?
His fingers twitched through the glove. Oh, God. I knew he was getting ready to cut her throat, maybe kill her on the spot, and I started to squirm, forcing my vision to work again.
No, Blackjack said coldly. I expect you to scream like the miserable disgrace to this club you are when you're laid out on the floor. Rabid!
2 gunshots rang out like thunderbolts. I never knew who drew first and fired. Brass howled through his gag, his body writhing in frustration or relief. I couldn't tell which. Serial roared, collapsing on the floor away from Jackie. He screamed and screamed as blood pooled out the hole in his back. His hands twitched and he struggled on the ground, but he couldn't seem to get back up. Against the wall, the long-haired man who'd helped carry Brass in hit the floor. A hole in his head. He was dead before he hit the concrete. Rabid pointed his gun at the other 2 against the wall.
Drop your fucking weapons, brothers. I'm not gonna tell you again.
The 2 men reached to their waists, and the metal clacked on the floor. One kick and they slid it over to Rabid, who caught up with Serial on the floor, standing over him. Blackjack turned to me and gave a little nod. Then he walked over to Brass. Pulling out a knife and kneeling, he sliced the cords binding his wrists. He cut the gag next, moving to his boots last.
Jesus, son. It's a good thing I didn't wait a second longer. You'd have rubbed your hands too raw to deal with.
Brass didn't wait for him to finish. As soon as Blackjack finished with the bindings holding his boots, he bolted up. Amazingly fast for a man who'd just taken a beating. He lunged, landed on Serial, snarling like a wild cougar. The psycho couldn't put up much of a fight. Brass ripped the mauler off his hand and quickly pushed his own fingers into it, holding it over Serial's face for one agonizing second.
No, Brass. No, brother.
With his free hand, Brass ripped him up, bashing his forehead on Serial's before letting his head slump again.
Don't you ever fucking call me that again. You were never my brother, and you never will be. Not even in hell.
I looked away as he tore into the psychopath's face. Serial only shrieked for about a minute before his cries became gurgling rasps. Then there was nothing at all. I opened my eyes, first checking to make sure Jackie was still out. Thank God for small favors, because she was. Blackjack stood over my man and extended a hand. Brass ripped off the blood-covered mauler glove and let it fall on Serial's corpse.
Why, brother?
Brass asked, taking his hand and standing on his feet again.
Because I'm tired of watching my club turn into a sadistic freak show under Fang. I've made my choice. Let's kick his ass off the throne. We already tried the democratic way, and it didn't work. It never does when brothers are shaking in their boots while they vote. Here.
The older man reached into his pocket and handed Brass something. It must have been a set of keys by the way they jingled.
Get the fuck out of here, Blackjack growled. Take the girls somewhere safe. Use my truck. Head north to Oregon, Klamath, and don't do anything till you hear more from me. Rabbit and I are gonna stay behind and clean this mess up while we figure out who we can trust."
Brass looked back at me, his eyes wide. He was full killer then, his face spattered with dead cereal's blood, and it was all over his cut, his jeans, and his shirt too. He stopped, giving Blackjack a big hug, pounding his back until the old man fought him off.
"Go. We've got surprise on our side. Now we just need time."
Brass ran to me. I shook when he wrapped his arms around me, loosening my restraints with the knife in his hand. As soon as I was free, he passed me the switchblade and I ran to Jackie, getting her untied and then lifting her into my arms. I checked her pulse and breathing. Normal. "Brass?" I turned. He was right behind me, waiting in all his blood-flecked glory.
"You heard the man. We gotta fucking go. No time to stop at the apartment or anywhere else. You got her?"
I nodded. Brass made one more stop near the door, giving Rabbit a manly slap on the shoulder.
"Told you I had your back, brother. Me and Blackjack both, soon as we found out what was coming tonight."
Brass nodded at the lean, muscular man, the way a man can only look at a true brother. I understood then. These guys were family after all. And if the last few weeks taught me anything, it's that there's nothing like embracing family when you don't know if you'll see them alive again. Jackie was a heavy load in my arms. She'd grown since the last time I ever moved her, years ago at this point. When Brass turned, he saw me struggling and reached out. I passed her into his strong arms, and we were off. The place they'd been holding us was huge. It looked like an old abandoned factory, or maybe a shipping center. Rusted metal and cracked cement were everywhere. I saw the truck parked between a gaggle of bikes. We headed right for it, and Brass handed me the keys to open the door. He passed Jackie back to me when I was in my seat. She barely fit on my lap in the truck. The dreamlike coma my brain was in while I was on that chair started lifting. I looked at him and blinked, feeling the life come back into my tongue. Jesus, Brass, can you believe what just—
"Don't talk yet, babe. Not till we're on the road heading for the state line."
He pushed the key into the ignition. The truck growled to life, and Jackie twitched in my arms as he peeled a tight circle, aiming for an old gate. Shit. My sister's eyes lit up, and she shook her head, trying to comprehend what she was seeing.
"Hold on to her tight," Brass growled. "We're gonna hit a little bump when we go over."
I backed up in my seat and clutched Jackie tight, burying her face in my chest. Bump was an understatement. The truck bounced in the air as it flattened the chain-link fence, bounding over a depression in the ground, then tearing through the tall, overgrown grass outside for several feet before we hit the road. Jackie clawed at me like a scared kitten. "Missy, what the fuck?" "Shh, easy, sis. We're almost home." The warehouse, factory, whatever the hell it was, the place was just a small dot by the time she finally got herself seated between us. My little sister's eyes were bugged out, looking between me and Brass. "What happened to those men? They knocked out Krista and grabbed me, held something strong to my face so I couldn't breathe?" I didn't want to say. How was I supposed to explain away the ruthless bastards who'd punched her tutor out and dragged her to the shitty warehouse, where she'd mercifully slept during the torture and death I'd witnessed? But silence was going to panic her. I swallowed hard, trying to make my brain work. "You had a bad nightmare, Jackie? There's no man, no—" Brass shot me an angry look.
"Don't bullshit the girl, babe. Tell her the truth. We're on the road and we're not coming back here till it's safe. I'm protecting you both."
He was right. Guilt swelled in my chest, and I grabbed my sister's hand, trying to find the strength I'd had just a day ago. Watching Serial nearly rip her to pieces had sucked it out of me. Hopefully not forever. "We got attacked," I said with a heavy sigh. "It's okay now. Brass and his friends got us out. We're on our way somewhere they can't hurt us anymore. It'll be all right, Jackie. I swear." Can you really make those promises? Doubt swirled in my brain. I wanted to believe I could, wanted to keep her safe, but if it wasn't for the other men, even Brass wouldn't have been able to save us this time. Stop talking to me like I'm a fucking kid, Jackie screamed, shoving me in the shoulder. Jackie. I grabbed her wrists, trying to hold her down. She was surprisingly strong for a teen. Brass's knuckles went white as he gripped the steering wheel, trying to ignore the screaming match going on inside the truck. I've been through the exact same crap as you, sis. It's like you've forgotten, Jackie said, tears sliding down her red cheeks. Daddy died and screwed up big time, leaving us money we never deserved. I get that. I know it's the reason these men captured us. I can put 2 and 2 together, Missy. I'm old enough to handle this. You shouldn't have to, I wanted to say, but she was right, and it hurt for me to see the cold truth. All this hell we'd been through forced my little sister to grow up before her time. It's my job to make sure you don't have to, I snapped, and I think I'm fucking failing at it. You want the truth? I don't know what tomorrow's going to bring anymore. I want to find a way out for both of us, and I keep digging, trying to find the light. But there's just more darkness ahead, even when Brass is in the lead. There's so many things he can't control. No one can. Whatever. Jackie covered her face, turning away from me and burrowing into the worn seat.
You said your piece,
Brass said, glancing at me as he drove.
Let her get some rest. We had a close fucking call back there. We'll all feel better by morning.
I looked through the darkness at him, annoyed. I shouldn't have needed any advice about how to handle this. But shit, what did I really know about this life? What did I know about my own sister?
You told her the truth, babe. That's all you can do, and all I expect. I'm gonna tell you straight, too. The next few weeks are gonna be rough. Don't know where it's gonna end. As long as everybody's open and honest, we'll get through it. Right now, my whole focus is keeping you two safe while we get into Oregon. Then I'll figure out the rest, soon as I hear from Blackjack.
He turned away, keeping his attention on the road.
I love you, babe.
The words hit me in the chest like an ice pick. It was too much to process after everything that just happened. I couldn't speak, so I reached for his hand, gingerly placing my fingers over his on the wheel. Brass flashed me a knowing smile. For now, that was all I needed. Jackie slept through the entire trip. Not that I minded one bit. I was feeling pretty drowsy myself by the time we rolled into Klamath Falls after about 3 hours on the dark, mountainous roads. We parked the truck and found a hotel with vacancies after a quick stop at a local department store. He sent me in to pick up fresh clothes. He changed before we went into the hotel, doing it in the pickup part, stuffing the bloody clothes in a black bag in the back. Everything except his cut, which would be easier to clean up. When he was done, we headed inside. Jackie sulked in behind us while Brass got everything set up. Then we followed him to the room. He threw me some cash to order a pizza. We were outside on the main deck, next to a crappy-looking pool. I heard him outside talking on his cell. It sounded intense. Jackie was taking a long shower, anything to lengthen her time away from me right now, so I stepped out too.
Jesus Christ, you've only got half the numbers, Blackjack, he growled into his phone. Fang's gonna call in other charters to defend his own ass. The cartel war won't matter with the reinforcements he'll bring to Redding.
The other voice on the line was gruff, determined. I couldn't quite make out what he was saying.
Really? Fucking who? Me and 10 other guys aren't nearly enough to stand a chance of dethroning that motherfucker, when he'll have double the brothers there in a week.
More rough orders from Blackjack, more tension on my man's face. I leaned in and squeezed his arm. Suddenly, he tore himself away from me, stumbling to the edge of the pool.
You gotta be fucking shitting me, Blackjack. You're really talking about treason now.
There was a long pause. I could practically see his jaw hanging on the floor before he finally responded.
Shit. Fuck. It's just working with the fucking prairie pussies.
He paused, taking a long, slow breath.
Okay, yeah. I'll call her.
I crept up behind him as he ended the call, moving my hands on his shoulders. What's wrong? Don't drop the phone in the pool now. He turned around and gave me a cynical look.
I'm pissed, but I'm not stupid, babe. Shit's about to get a whole lot more complicated.
Yeah? Where are we going next? God, he was tense. My hands roamed his rock-hard muscles, admiring and nervous at the same time. I just wanted to calm him down, let him know that I appreciated everything he'd done. Against the odds, he'd kept his word. He kept us safe, and now he was taking us away from all this. He was a rock, my rock, over 6 feet of pure masculine granite, inked with an animal that still scared the hell out of me, a beast that only seemed to share his spirit. I couldn't depend on the world, but I could depend on him. Brass, Jordan, my old man.
We've got to head up to Missoula. There's another club up there, the Prairie Devils.
He growled the name through his teeth when he said it, giving me the real one instead of the crude slang I'd heard thrown around before.
Blackjack's setting shit up now. If we weren't short on manpower, I'd say he's out his fucking mind asking for their help. But my sister's got an in with their club. She's married to their prez, Blaze.
Now it all came together. I smiled, smoothing my hands on him like he was clay. If only it were so easy to rub away the anger spiking out of his skin in a static aura. I was about to move in for a kiss when the door to our room swung open. Jackie stuck her head out, wrapped in a towel, and called to us. "Pizza's here."
"Be right there,"
Brass said, easing me away. Before he got 2 steps further, I reached for his shirt, grabbing a fistful. "Wait." He spun, staring me up and down. I should have said it right away, but I was too damned shocked. "What you said on the ride in?" I paused, readying myself to speak the crazy truth out loud. "I love you too. I trust you. I'm here for you, Brass, ready to be your old lady. I mean it for real this time. We're not playing around anymore." He grabbed me, his rough hand sinking into my hips as he pulled me to his lips. We kissed as long, hard, and hot as the time crunch would allow us. A kiss that said how grateful we were the bastards in the warehouse hadn't taken away everything before I admitted what we had. It was here, right here in his marvelous, insatiable lips.
"No, we're not, babe. This is all real. I just gotta finish branding you when all this shit's finally done."
He grabbed me by the hand and led me forward.
"Now let's go. I'm fucking starving."
Frustration and happiness mingled in his eyes. I recognized the look, praying it would all be over as quickly as he hinted. It needed to be. Tonight was going to be sheer hell keeping my hands off him, while Jackie slept in the other bed.
8. Deals with Devils. Brass. Sleep didn't come easy. It wasn't just club politics weighing heavy on my brain. It was having her pressed up against me in too damned small a room to do anything about it. No fucking way was I gonna make a move and subject the kid sister to hearing us fuck. But goddamn, my dick ached. Bad. Felt like somebody reached in and filled my balls with lead, heavy and hot, anchoring me to the sheets. Anxious lust hissed through my veins all night. I don't think my hard-on relaxed a second, pressed snug against her ass, taunting me every time Missy twitched in her sleep. She was obviously having some bullshit nightmares. At one point I leaned over, kissed her brow, tender as I could without making my cock rage harder. "It's gonna be okay, baby," I whispered. "All this shit. I'll kill them all myself for dragging you girls into this. Then I'm gonna fuck your brains out, wipe away all the nasty memories with red-hot sex. I'm no doctor, but I've got a cure and I know how to deliver it too." She stirred, wriggling against me in her sleep. I had to shift my hips. Having my dick on her all night was bound to drive me absolutely nuts by dawn if I didn't wake up balls deep inside her first. Truth was, Missy ignited a lunatic inferno in my skull, my blood, and especially below my waist. I'd never told a woman I loved her before the drive up. Before her, that was the sappiest, most alien shit I ever could have imagined. But having her around let Cupid sneak up behind me and drive his arrow deep in my back, and I wasn't going to pull it out for anything. It was finally all as clear as a California day. My life had 2 stages, before Missy Thomas and after her. The before was complete shit, betrayal and stupidity, my family going to pieces while I was too blasted out of my skull to do anything about it. Shit, I'd helped it along, hadn't I? What was this after, this new run just waiting for me to follow its jagged path? Remained to be seen, but I swore I'd give it everything to make it the beginning of the rest of my life, a smooth, sweet ride that meshed seamlessly with the future I'd give the babe curled up next to me and her little sis. I had to. Fucking up again was not an option. The ride was long and hard the next day. Woke up with a nasty bruise on one cheek, plus a few kinks in my shoulders and ribs from all the places those fuckfaces hit me at the warehouse. We all ate a quick breakfast in the hotel, checked out, and then we were on our way, second leg of the 2-day trip to Missoula. It all hinged on time, getting our ducks in a row back in Reading before Fang had too many of his own to snuff us out. The rest hinged on those devil assholes cooperating. Thinking about that shit made me want to rip everything apart. Having Shelley as his wife, or Saffron as he called her, my sis's old stripper name, was the only fucking reason Blaze agreed to talk to me at all. And I still didn't know how I was really gonna sit down with those assholes without punching their teeth out. I'd barely kept it together during their wedding in Reno. 2 prairie pussies, Stinger and Tank, nearly beat me to a bloody pulp the minute they saw me. Thank fuck their old ladies were there to talk sense to 'em. We spent the next night in Coeur d'Alene. I got us all some grub at a sit-down restaurant. It was strange to eat in public without my cut-on over my tight gray shirt, but the Idaho Panhandle was Grizzlies' MC territory, and I damned well had to keep a low profile. There was no telling what the charters would do as news about the power struggle in Reading spread. More than a few prezes out there had axes to grind with Fang, and there was never a better opportunity. But the bastard also put plenty of loyal thugs in place over the years, far and wide, including pussy fuckers who'd stay with him till the bitter end while the cartel had them scared shitless. Dinner was good. The girls both seemed happier. They chatted and smiled, a welcome thaw in the tension I'd seen between them yesterday. Missy told me about her accounting shit while little Jackie rolled her eyes in boredom. Promised right then she'd be going back to school. Shit, both of them, as soon as we were clear and free. Brass? This is it? Jackie wrinkled her nose when we pulled up to the only hotel with vacancies. The kid had good reason to whine. The place was a fucking dump, and I seriously contemplated camping out in the truck for the night over staying here. Too bad a hot shower sounded like it was worth the price of admission alone. I took a full lap around the place, looking for obvious signs of dangerous deals going down or bitches whoring themselves out. Any one of those things wasn't just bad for the kid, it could indicate a connection to the local MC. The Idaho crew made most of their money off women since the Devil's shipments west started to drain our old business. I looked high and low, searching for skanks or unassuming bikes parked within a couple blocks. Nothing. Missy was leaning on my shoulder. Stroking my arm, she whispered in my ear, "It's cheap. It's a warm bed. Let's just take it, Brass. Seriously, we've had worse." I nodded, parked the truck, and got out ahead of the girls. My ears matched my eyes. The place was eerily quiet. Yeah, this is the time when most dudes would get in the truck and gun it, or else get gnawed to pieces by some fucked-up thing in a bad horror movie. I'd stopped being afraid of anything worse than the murderous freaks I'd run into over the years. Missy and Jackie hung close while we checked in, right where I wanted them. It took a few rings to rouse the old goat from the back. He spoke in a thick accent, maybe Russian or Polish or some shit, and took my cash without even giving me the stink eye for skipping the card like most decent hotels. I didn't like the way the fuck's eyes wandered. One of them looked artificial. The other kept skipping me entirely and sinking to the side, staring at Jackie while she messed with a vending machine on the other side of the shitty lobby. "Something else you need?" I growled, wishing he'd hurry the fuck up. The jack-off looked down sheepishly and shook his head, reassuring me everything was in order. Soon as he passed me the keys, I grabbed Missy's hand and walked over to the little girl. "Let's get the fuck inside and rest for a few hours. Don't forget to check for bed bugs." My girl gave me a worrying look. Jackie just laughed. The room was cramped, a little smoky, but surprisingly not bad. The women showered one after another, and then it was my turn. However shitty the place was, it had a working water tank. Feeling the hot jets racing down my muscles felt fucking amazing after 2 days of pure hell. Only thing better would have been having Missy there with me, wet and slippery and sexy as the time I took her at the apartment, the first time we fucked. Fuck, my cock throbbed like mad. Had to fight hard to resist jerking it. No, I wasn't resorting to that teenage shit. Didn't care how many hours were left before I fucked my woman. I wasn't gonna do anything but fucking when the time came. Truth time. I hadn't jerked my dick in years when there was always pussy waiting for it. But no pussy was more perfect than hers, and the need to be inside it almost put me in a straitjacket. I was practically drooling by the time I stepped out, toweled off, and dried my hair. When I came out, the girls were already crashed out in 2 beds, exhausted after the day-long drive. I stayed shirtless and climbed in next to my old lady. For a few minutes I laid there, listening for anything fucked up going on outside the room, any sign I should pass on sleep and meet the prairie pussies tomorrow with bloodshot eyes. My fucking body didn't want to cooperate. The Sandman yanked my eyelids like cheap shades. I ended up falling asleep without even realizing it. I dreamed about anger, violence, and sex. Same shit that always rattled my brain at night. It was more feverish than usual, and at some point I rolled, opening my eyes. The bed next to us was empty. Fuck! I shot up like a lightning bolt and reached for Missy first. She was still there, thank fuck, rolling sharply when she felt my arm sweeping over her. She moaned, rubbing her eyes. "Brass," she said, full of grog. "Stay right there, babe. Don't fucking move. Take this." I reached onto the nightstand and took the switchblade, handing it to her. It was her turn to panic when she sat up and saw what was going on. The covers went flying off the bed and she stood, desperately scanning the room. "Where's Jackie?" "Don't fucking know, but I'm gonna find out." She called after me, but I was on the move. I'd seen enough shit to know every single nanosecond counts in a situation like this. My blood roared like a lion's at his breaking point. Fuck, if anybody took her and plucked a single brown hair out of her head, I'd gut them faster than they could beg for their miserable life. Outside it was still pitch dark. Several lights were burned out and the place was quiet as ever. No, there was something coming from below. Moaning. A bed creaking. Somebody fucking. Loud shouts. A woman screamed, this time not in pleasure. I didn't bother with the stairs leading down from our second-floor room. I hopped right over the fucking rail and fell several feet, hitting the pavement hard. Ignoring the fire in my knees, I headed for the noisy room and threw myself through the door. The couple in bed was greasy, disheveled, and ugly as sin. They'd stopped fucking because of the jackass rolling around on the floor, the asshole with the lazy eye who'd checked us in. He was thrashing around in pain, grabbing his crotch. Jackie was backed into a corner, her clothes messed up, eyes red with tears, shaking. Just like a cornered cat. Hot air hissed out my lungs. If the fuck managed to do anything, she wouldn't be dressed. I charged like a bull, jumping on the bed, ripping off the covers. The couple were just as nasty underneath the sheets. They screamed, rolling on the floor, trying to get away. Or that's what I thought at first, before the pudgy asshole who'd been fucking the hag started to laugh. I looked at the nightstand and saw a familiar arrangement. Smack, ice, several joints half burned to a crisp, a 9mm with its clip laying next to it. Typical junkie shit. I grabbed the drugs in a fistful and threw it on the bitch who was shaking and moaning halfway out of her fucking gourd. These motherfuckers wouldn't say shit. If the motel wasn't deserted, somebody else would have been standing at the door I'd kicked in after all this commotion, but there was no one there except... "Missy, take your sis and go. I'll handle this." My girl looked like she'd seen a fucking ghost. Well, she'd definitely seen some demons. I walked to the corner, took Jackie's hand, and led her out to her big sister. "I hope you busted his fucking balls, girl. You did the right thing. Don't feel bad for a single goddamn second. I'll do the rest," I whispered in her ear and ran my fingers through her hair before handing her off. Reaching into my pocket, I handed Missy the keys. "Get the truck warmed up and wait for me. Change of plans. We're heading out early and not stopping till we hit Missoula." I waited till I heard the truck's growl to shove the door shut, at least as much as it would close on the busted hinges. Then I walked to the asshole on the floor, reaching for my gun, the lazy-eyed fuckface who'd tried to make an innocent girl part of this sick orgy. He saw me coming, reached into his pocket, and haphazardly flashed a hunting knife. I rolled my eyes, stomping his hand flat with my boot. The knife in his fingers crunched underneath my foot. Didn't let up till I had to lean down and silence his screams. "Let me go, mister. I didn't hurt her. Oh, honest, fucking honest. Just wanted to have a little fun, make a little movie." I saw the bag behind him on the stand by the bathroom, clearly holding a camera. Good. That would come in handy in a minute. No, I hadn't gotten an epiphany about peace and forgiveness. The fuck was as good as dead the second I walked in here, but now I had an idea. Skinning his ass was going to help me out, and maybe my brother's too. I looked to my side, glancing at the old TV that looked like its best days were in the late 80s. You know, I can handle the peeling paint on the old sheets, but there are some things you really should have upgraded here. He looked at me like I'd lost my mind. It was the last look the fucked-up worm would ever give anyone. I reached down, grabbed his hair, and picked him up, throwing him face first into the TV with all my might. Funny how broken circuits and glass can drown out a man's screams. He was too shocked to howl or struggle as I picked up his hunting knife and drove it into his back, stabbing him repeatedly till he stopped moving. His carcass slumped halfway to the floor and stopped, held up by the TV still attached to his head.